McAfee Show.
There'll be no rules for our guests, for us, for the things we can talk about.
Speaking his mind.
I've never had a problem expressing my opinions or my thoughts or anything like that.
While being relatable.
I haven't had that manufactured fake-ass celebrity that a lot of people have whenever they go on those big networks. I've had a chance to really build my crew, build my following, build my audience.
And ridiculous.
What am I supposed to do? So I'm supposed to look at something that I can definitely afford and say, nah. Is that what I'm supposed to do?
The Pat McAfee Show starts in 3, 2, 1.
Good day, beautiful people. It is Wednesday, September 30th, 2020. Massive day, massive day in the history of the greatest league on planet Earth, the NFL. It has been announced officially this morning that the Steelers-Titans game this weekend has been postponed due to a COVID outbreak within the Tennessee Titans organization. Yesterday, it was reported that 3 Titans players tested positive for the COVID-19 sumbitch. 5 player or personnel people tested positive as well on Monday morning. Now it is coming out this morning that 1 more player has tested positive. So 4 positive cases in the Tennessee Titans locker room, 5 cases in the Tennessee Titans player personnel area, 9 total cases. They were kicked out of their building yesterday. They were told you weren't going to be able to get into your building until at least Saturday. I early on said if they're not allowed in the building until Saturday, that means they're probably going to postpone the game, which most likely means that the Steelers will now have a week 4 bye week instead of playing the Titans and having a week 8 or week 7 bye week like they're originally supposed to have. I was attacked for saying that the game being postponed was inevitably going to happen. I was attacked for it because more reports came out throughout the day that they were going to have the game. More reports came out through the day with Vrabel saying to his team, like, hey, if we have to do Zoom calls all week and then a walk through Saturday and play on Sunday, we'll do that. No excuses, which is why Vrabel is awesome. Mm-hmm. Then we had reports in this particular office from numerous people in the NFL that told us in July, the NFL basically said, we do not care about competitive fairness whenever it comes to this COVID situation and how it's going to operate. That was probably in lieu of some stadiums having fans. That was probably in lieu of some teams having to potentially have players sit out for numerous days. The NFL told its coaches and members of the NFL that they do not care about competitive fairness because we just want to have a season, basically. So now here we are, and there was a massive competitive advantage for the Pittsburgh Steelers playing against the Tennessee Titans because the Tennessee Titans weren't going to be allowed to be in their building all week before a game. Now we're hearing the game's postponed. So do they care about competitive fairness? I would say yes, they obviously care about competitive fairness. I would say that they knew after yesterday's conversations and talking about it more and listening to former players talk about how this is going to be tough, I think, for them to play. They're like, okay, we'll postpone the game. Now they're saying the game potentially postponed to Monday night or even Tuesday night, which is quite a nightmare on the backside there for the Steelers and Titans. But hey, we are in unprecedented times. You got to do what you got to do to make things work. Joining us right now to talk about what he knows. This is a man who knows everything about everything, it feels like, in the NFL. Ladies and gentlemen, I don't know if he's in his Bentley, Rolls Royce, or his Maserati. Ladies and gentlemen, NFL insider, the insider from ESPN, and the host of the Adam Schefter podcast, Adam Schefter.
How you doing?
What a boring call. You're at your house right now, not in your car?
Yeah, I'm not driving today. I'm trying to be safe here, Pat.
Well, by the way, the way you were driving was so calm, cool, collected. You used your turn signal and everything. We appreciated that last time. What do you know about this postponement? Diana Rossini has been in the front line of this, coworker of yours over there. The game's being postponed after initially being talked about as happening on Sunday, whether they just have to do Zoom calls or not. Now they're saying potentially Monday or Tuesday. What are you hearing? What do you think is going to happen? And is there any way that the NFL could have prepared for this type of situation in the offseason?
Well, I think that the league did prepare for this in the offseason. It's a situation where basically you've got a case here where the game now, I think they're going to have an answer by the end of the day tomorrow. And I think they want to see another day of testing before they can determine that this game will happen Monday and Tuesday as they plan. Look, remember, they said yesterday they wanted and intended to have this game happen on Sunday as it was scheduled, and that's not happening. Now they've pushed it back to either Monday or Tuesday. That's what they want and intend to happen, and we think it'll happen. But if there are more positive tests, then it won't happen then either. So I think they're going to give the Titans and Steelers an answer by the end of the day tomorrow. I think they need to do that. Look, the way I figure it is that a lot of people work from home. What's the difference if they play it Monday afternoon, like 4:35? Does it matter?
Oh, what? Oh, Shefty's cooking up ideas. I wonder if you're sending those text messages out with those ideas as opposed to those information coming to you. I like that idea. I like that thought. Now, for the initial thought that they were just going to play the game on Sunday and power through it, was that because they realized if we test everybody and we find out that there's 3 positives and 5, we can separate those people from the rest of everybody, which is, I think, the purpose of testing everybody on a daily basis and keeping socially distant parameters in the building? Or why did they clean out the entire building if only, I don't want to say only 3, because I would assume contact tracing and everything kind of linked them to other people, but if the negative tests continue to come back from the players, only 1 more positive from the Titans, I guess, if they continue to come back, can the guys get back into the building tomorrow, Friday, Saturday, Sunday? Is that possible, or are they still the Saturday ban until then?
No, Mike Vrabel said just a short time ago that he doesn't know whether it's going to be Saturday or sooner or later. Look, everything is contingent upon the testing because there's an incubation period to the virus. It's not like you take the test on Wednesday or Tuesday and automatically have the test results back Wednesday. A positive test or a positive with a player or another employee there or a coach could turn out on Thursday or Friday from the weekend. They just don't know yet. And so they're trying to be careful. And I think they'll open their facility when they feel like it's comfortable and clear to do. They're not going to do it before. They recognize what's at stake. They're trying to be careful here. They're trying to be smart and cautious, which I think they're doing. And again, when they feel like they have the answers, that's when that building will open. And I think they're giving another 24 hours on the testing part before making the decision. Like, again, if there's no positives tomorrow, I'll bet you they play the game Monday. If there's one more they might push it back into Tuesday. And if there's more positives to filter in, then they postpone the game altogether.
Okay, so if they postpone the game, Tuesday would be insane, by the way, for both teams. That would be a wild thing to have to do to get ready for a Sunday game when a team didn't have to do that. But I guess they say, well, Thursday's the same way, but Thursday is a different animal. So, and Thursday has been hated by players for a long, long time. But hey, unprecedented times. We got to get the season done. Let's go ahead and keep it moving here. If they didn't postpone to Monday or Tuesday because another positive comes back, when would they do it? Would they just give the Steelers this bye week, and then week 8 is supposedly the Steelers bye week, push it back, play on the 7th or whatever?
Yeah, I mean, that's where it gets tricky, and that's where you have to start juggling bye weeks. And I honestly, I don't think they want to go there. I don't think they're preparing to go there. And until more positive tests come in, they don't want to go there. So, again, you have to figure the bye week would come into play in one way or another, Pat.
Why didn't they put in like a buffer week?
They could have done it. You know, I still think there are invisible buffer weeks in there because the Super Bowl is scheduled to be, February, the first Sunday in February in Tampa. And what's to say that they couldn't push the Super Bowl back a week or 2 weeks or 3 weeks? I mean, at one point during the offseason, we were talking about moving the Super Bowl back potentially, if needed, not ideally, but if needed, into March or even April. So, again, there's cushion built in there. It's disguised cushion. It's not something that's readily obvious, and it's not something that anybody wants to or plans to do. But if they had to do it, if there were a bunch of tests, if there were outbreaks across the league, if this happened on multiple weeks to multiple teams, yeah, they could always push back the Super Bowl if they needed to.
Oh, Shefty, I appreciate you so much for coming in with your big knowledge. What do you got, Tiggs?
Shefty, if the game is Monday, does ESPN automatically gets a second Monday night game, and then we got Fowler and Herbie again calling Steelers?
Here we go.
I don't know how that works. I don't know how that would work right now. I think that CBS supposed to broadcast it, so my guess is that it would be CBS's game still on Monday night. I mean, networks don't like giving up games just for the fun of it. So I don't know how that would work yet.
All right. Well, Shefty, we appreciate you so much. Love your podcast. I heard some Fitz magic on there. He said that Buffalo was his favorite football city, by the way. Wow. Bills Mafia. We can't thank you enough for joining us, brother. I appreciate the hell out of you.
Thank you, Pat. Appreciate you. Have a great day. We'll talk soon.
All right, man. Hey, you have a good one over there too, Shefty, will you?
Thank you, buddy.
All right, see you. Ladies and gentlemen. All the boys here at Tone Diggs, Boston Connor, Ty Schmidt, the boys in the back. We appreciate the hell out of you. 1-888-MAD-6. You can join the show as well. And at Viva Lazito is here with his big old poll for the day. What is it, Zito?
The big poll today is postponement to the NFL games because of COVID. Do we like it or hate it? And right now, love it. It's at 38.4%, and hate it is at 60.9%.
Okay, so that math doesn't add up, but you did change.
It just changed midway, so now 39.1 for love it.
This is very interesting because yesterday when I put out a tweet that, hey, I think there's pretty big news about to come out, and just know that I knew, is the tweet that I put out.
Which you did.
And a lot of people were like, oh, Jay Glazer here, because the news wasn't that big, because I think some people, and now listen, I don't care how you feel about COVID-19, whether you think it's the most dangerous thing of all time, which there are some people who truly believe that, or whether you think it's not dangerous at all, which, by the way, there are some people that truly believe that. I wasn't saying that, but I think I don't care how you feel, by the way. Just be safe. Let's go ahead and get on with our life, hopefully at some point very safely. And after watching last night, I don't know if anybody's going to be able to make that decision next. I mean, that was one of the most absurd things I've ever seen. That's what the political people watch, by the way.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
the people that don't like sports, is that what they do every single day, is watch stuff like that?
Must be. Right after they go to the news.
That was Stephen A. and Skip yelling at each other about real life things.
Oh, yeah.
And by the way, just like those hot take sports shows that I just talked about, not that Stephen A. or Skip's opinions don't matter, but like one day from none of that mattered.
Nope.
Right? That's how I don't know if that's how I'm supposed to watch the thing last night. But nothing mattered.
There'll be new information coming out, I'm sure, before the next debate.
I mean, just nothing mattered last night. And I would assume that, I mean, if you hopped on the internet, nobody's changing their vote for any of the. We could have that election, I think, right now, and everybody is going to be dead set where they're at.
Same as in November.
And by the way, can't wait for that day to come, so maybe everybody will start, loving each other again and realizing that we're all in this together.
I love that.
And hey, I love that too, Zito. And it doesn't matter what one stooge says about the other side or the other stooge says about the other side. It's like, hey, we're all in this thing together. Let's remember that. And hopefully in November that'll happen, but it doesn't seem likely. But fuck all that. Let's talk about the COVID thing, where I say if a game gets postponed because of this, That's massive news. Like, that is big news. That the NFL in 2020, the NFL that said we're not changing when we're drafting anybody, we're not changing anything. We might go to Zoom OTAs. Our season is going to kick off exactly at the time it's supposed to kick off. We're not going to change anything. And now here we are, week 4. One game's already being postponed. How are they going to react? How are they going to do it? This is an unprecedented thing for the NFL. This is something I don't think anybody expected the NFL to have to do. But here we are, just less than a month into the season. We're already moving games. That feels like that's pretty big news. And I'm excited to see how it all plays out, to be completely candid.
Yeah, I think if it's on Monday, it's fine.
Bingo.
Once you start creeping into Tuesday, and then if anything gets canceled, then it's a much bigger deal. Like if the buys didn't work out the way that it seemed like they would work out, if they did have to postpone this to another week, then it would become a big deal. But as long as it's Monday, we're good. Tuesday, I guess I saw 2010 they had to postpone a game till Tuesday because of a blizzard season. Obviously different, but it's fine. As long as it's not canceled, I'm all right.
Yeah, the interesting thing here is, here in Chef, you talk about if they need to push back the Super Bowl or whatever. We were first to report. I should have said this to Shefty's face.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
This is the last time I got into the insider game, by the way. We were the first to report that the NFL has the Super Bowl hotels for an extended month, or first right of refusal for the hotels for an extended month after the Super Bowl, because we have ears on the ground in the hotel community down there, hospitality community down there in Tampa Bay sent a message to us, let us know. We then had to get that fact check because that's what insiders have to do.
Oh, yeah.
It got concurred. So we always knew that there was a chance that the NFL would extend the season a little bit. But if it's only one team or two teams, how do you do that and still balance everything? Do you extend the season because of one game or one team? Who knows? I assume that they're expecting maybe this is going to happen again. But if it's Monday, all good. Midday game, by the way. Awesome.
Yeah, awesome.
Maybe do it during this.
That'd be awesome.
If you could do it at noon, we would appreciate it.
Vrabel.
And by the way, Monday would be a watch along for the game, and we would have guests come in. Oh my God, it would be awesome if they do that. And that's a good concept there by Schefter. And Schefter's not just saying that, by the way. He's probably heard that from somebody at some point. But if that gets to Tuesday, it's early in the season, which is good. Guys aren't as run down and beat down as they are. But you got to remember, like, guys in week 4, I don't know if this is the case. I assume there's some people that are like that. Guys aren't feeling like humans again till like Thursday sometimes after a game on Sunday because of all the collision, the car crashes they're in, what their body's been through. They got a lot of things going on. So that's why the Thursday night game has always been hated by players. It's like, you care about player safety, but you got us playing on Thursday night. You care about player safety, but you got blah, blah, blah. Like, that's always the conversation. The Thursday night game is always in there because there isn't enough recovery time for guys. I think we're early enough in the season where that's not going to affect as many people, which is good news. But if they go to Tuesday for this game, is that going to make them do it later in the season when this happens as well? And I would assume the NFLPA is going to have something that's like, hey, we got guys barely able to get to a game now. We got people missing games and everything like that. But hey, unprecedented times, people got to come together and make these fucking games happen because you know why? The world needs the NFL.
Hell yeah.
Steelers-Titans is going to be a very, 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 very big game long-term in the AFC standings. They got to make it happen somehow. And it sucks for the Steelers either way because the Steelers did not get infected at all here. They're still going through their work. If this game gets postponed, they will not have a bye week throughout this entire season, which is a wild thing. But hey, it's 2020. Everybody's got to deal with different shit, I guess.
That was going to be my question. If you were the Steelers, would you rather have it postponed till Tuesday and then play a short week for week 5, or have this be practice all week, have it be postponed until week 8, so this was technically your bye week?
Would much rather have a bye week, a full bye week, because the bye week is a great time for your team to reflect on yourself, for your body and mental headspace. I mean, not for me, it doesn't matter, right? For my position, it did not matter. It's like, okay, bye week actually hurt me sometimes because I lost like a rhythm a little bit. I had to get back into a rhythm because I was on a beach probably somewhere by about Wednesday or Thursday, which I'm not 100% sure they're going to be able to do here. But a bye week for a lot of guys, mental, physical, it's like a refresher. And for a team, you do a lot of self-scout there and you can change your entire team. So if you don't have a bye week, it is a competitive disadvantage, I believe, for a lot of teams. But the NFL said in July, we do not care about competitive fairness whenever it comes to the season. We are going to get the season off because America needs the NFL. Hell yeah.
For going forward, too, obviously this wasn't, or we don't think it was related to the fans in the stands, but all these teams who are planning on bringing in fans slowly, like week 5, week 6, they're probably not going to be able to do that anymore now, right? Just on the worry of a possible another breakout.
I don't think the fans or anything, right? Because Vikings completely empty.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, it didn't have a deal, but would they stop that just in case?
I don't know, because there's a lot of things. By the way, let's bring up that sidebar for a list of shit for us to talk about. cover number one there. The charity event thing with Al Davis, we talked about this yesterday. I talked about this yesterday. And I would assume some people called me a bad guy for talking about this. But I saw the Colts players out handing out things to the community, which, by the way, awesome. Giving back to the community is a big part of being in the NFL. You're lucky to be in the NFL, to represent a city. Giving back to the community is something I took very serious. I was a Walter Payton Man of the Year candidate, Salute to Service Award winner. I mean, I believe in giving back to the community, but the conversation around this entire season has been, guys are going to have to lock down. Guys are going to have to contain themselves. Guys are not going to have to be out there doing anything. And then I see a video of Colts players just out there handing out groceries to the community and going into people's cars and dropping things off. And it's like, what the fuck are we doing here? Like, I thought, now I understand it's in the shield of philanthropy, which is great. Like, let's do that. But I thought the mindset was, hey, we need these guys to lock it down. Like, don't even see your family sometimes. So them being out there in the community, I was like, well, that's kind of an interesting thing, because I remember back in the day when I started doing my show, every Tuesday I started doing a show here in Indianapolis. It wasn't until I was good at my job that I decided to start really, delving into things outside of the field. And I had a show, I did my Twitter a lot, and I got a lot of people that didn't like me, obviously, because that's just kind of the human I am. People are not going to like me. And they're like, well, if you didn't spend so much time doing blah, 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 your show, your Twitter, your stand-up, maybe you wouldn't have hit that ball on Sunday or whatever, right? And that's real things that were said to me, which is why I've always said, like, Juju and all these guys that are loud, like, you're giving people a lot of ammo if you ever have a bad game, because I experienced it. I had like 2 bad balls in time, and I got attacked for it. And it was very interesting to me that they never attacked me for going and doing an hour and a half breast cancer awareness speech or whatever. They never attacked me whenever I was going out and doing a military thing for 2 hours on a Tuesday. It was always any time that I was potentially doing something that could help me long term. If I was doing something community-wise that literally took a lot more effort, I had to give a speech a couple times that I was not prepared to do, and I had to like really think in. That was always, oh, okay, yeah, you do that. But if you're trying to help yourself at all, that's a big problem. Now we got the Raiders players are going out and doing the community events, and it's like, oh, that's completely okay. They're doing that. But if there was to be an outbreak for the Raiders because Al Davis or Mark Davis, I guess, is pissed off that Raiders players were didn't have masks on when they were doing charity events, would they address the issue for what it is? Like, hey, these guys were doing charity things and they got, like, the Titans players go and do something on Monday, a charity event that is good for the community, great for the community. I'm not saying you shouldn't do it, but I just think if it takes all of us and we're all buying in, how come there's some other things that are being sprinkled in there as well that potentially jeopardize the game whenever we're putting players at risk playing on Tuesday because of said things potentially happening? I think it's all very interesting. They're obviously trying to wade the water at the moment that we're in. They have no idea. But I assume everything's going to get kind of settled here in the next couple of weeks. And this Titans-Steelers situation is something that they're going to look back on and say, this is the big decision that we had to make. I'm very, very intrigued by all
It's a tough spot because, it was Darren Waller's charity, and it was a charity event that he was hosting, and, like, Derek Carr was there, and I guess they didn't have masks on and stuff. Like, but those 2 players go down for the Raiders. They're fucked.
They're done for.
Oh, yeah.
Buddy, they're doing something good in the community, so it's like you can't bash them too much, but it's also like, well, I thought we weren't doing that. Like, I thought we were potentially
Waiting?
locking people down. Like AQ, I FaceTimed with AQ Shipley from the Tampa Bay Buccaneers last night. He was in his house with a mask on because
wow, AQ.
Yeah, because his daughter had a friend. His daughter did something with a friend or something like that, and she came back with a runny nose. And AQ was like, "I'm not risking it." And AQ hasn't left his house down there in Tampa. It's like that. I thought is what everybody was going to have to do. That's why it's such a big deal. That's why you got to thank the players for not being humans here for like 5 months. But then when you got them going out and doing things, it's like, I feel like we're raising the risk level. And if only 3 players testing positive is means for a shutdown of a game, it's like, hey, you better tighten the fuck up down there. Listen, save the world at a different time.
Charity can wait for now.
Yeah, hey, send some money.
Yeah.
Okay? Send some money helps out a lot as well.
A lot more, some would say.
No, I don't. Boots on the ground.
That's right. Your time. Always your time.
And we're not saying stop doing community stuff. We're just saying you have to do it in a safer fashion.
Can they do what the Colts been doing with the iPads and on the robots, and they just roll in?
See, I like that. I like that particular thing. It's like, okay, we're adjusting, we're still doing it. But when I see bags just getting in the car, they were reaching into humans' cars and putting bags in there. It's like, what? They had masks on, okay? But were the masks good enough?
Well, and doesn't matter if they're reaching into a COVID zone.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just like, if 3 positives are going to make you postpone a game,
That is wild.
people are going to have to tighten up here. And I don't say tighten as in the Tennessee Titans. I mean tighten as in, hey, let's lock this son bitch down because we need football.
We need it.
We need everybody to be safe. We need football.
Yes.
Hell yeah.
Wednesday, September 30th, Pat McAfee Show here on SiriusXM Mad Dog Radio, Channel 82. We have Mark Schlereth joining us on the other side. Can't wait to get his take. He's been doing a great job with Adam Amin on Fox, by the way. It's been awesome to watch him. We'll be back on the other side. Take a leak. This is the Pat McAfee Show.
This is Gump from Hammer Down with some Week 4 NFL betting info for you. We've seen the over hit in 29 out of 48 games so far. So this week, there's 9 games where the over is set at over 51 points. Another thing we talk about a lot is people getting a lot of the bets. 28 and 18 against the spread are teams that are getting more than 50% of the money. That is massive. We'll be back tomorrow with some more info, some more stats, and a new episode of Hammer Down on Thursday. Cheers.
Good idea or bad idea for the spike buy?
I will never judge anything out
I
of
want your
spite.
thoughts.
Well, I thought you were a fucking idiot for $10,000 over what they were asking. Like that is, I thought that was very stupid. But then when you told me that people were laughing in your face, laughing, you should have won $20,000. That's what I think.
Did you know he was still in the car?
Zito was in his car?
They drove by me and
Like they were just driving by. Like they had no idea what he was doing.
Oh, so they didn't know he was even looking at them.
No.
His windows are tinted too.
This is Jordan in that restaurant.
Yeah,
Oh,
exactly. George Carl.
That son of a bitch.
Chi-Town, baby.
Jordan and Yazid.
That made it personal for me.
That's all I needed is what he said. He made up a fake story at a restaurant. I love that.
They didn't even know like who Zito was.
No, they knew. They fucking knew we were up next.
They were just like, look at that fat guy walking down the street.
No, I was in my car.
Zito, that house didn't deserve you anyways, dude.
It was a nice sunroom.
I wish you would have got it just so you had to deal with a house that you didn't want.
All Zito cares about is his sunroom. That's all he cares
That's all I
about.
want.
Hey, people got their wants and needs.
Doing it for the brand. It's the Pat McAfee Show on Mad.
Welcome back to the Pat McAfee Show. I cut her off there a little bit early. That's on me. We'll be joined here momentarily by a man who once, we found a photo, once might have weighed 395 pounds.
At least. Yep.
I'm not 100% sure if this photo has ever been seen by the public. He has a suit on and looks like he was on television. He might have been 395 pounds, and I would assume he was bench pressing 500 pounds.
Oh, yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, a man who won the Super Bowl 3 times, a man who has spent 12 seasons in the NFL, and a man who is now maybe my top 3 color commentator in all of sports.
Oh, yeah.
But favorite meathead brain, ladies and gentlemen, Mark Schlereth.
Hey, Pat, thank you. I really appreciate that. You know, by the way, I wasn't going to do this, but now I got to do it.
No!
Yeah!
Oh, my
I gotta,
Let's go!
Skip leg day.
Oh, okay. I thought that was...
Hey, don't skip leg day, baby.
Hey.
You know what? You're sleeveless. I'm sleeveless. I think this is the best way to do this, brother. So let's get it on.
I ain't never skipped a leg day, Mark. Okay, I ain't never skipped a leg day.
Let me tell you what. Now, I have the legs of a 180-pound man, Pat. But, you know, like my father says, you ever see a quarter horse with fat legs? No, you never saw a quarter horse with fat legs. I'm a quarter horse, baby. I can run. I can go.
Hung like a horse too, Mark, from what I've heard.
Hell yeah!
Real quick, real quick, can I ask you about this particular photo right here we found on the internet? What was this guy?
I was doing Conan O'Brien. Look at that. I was on a strict diet of taco meat and cheese whiz at the time. And it was right after Super Bowl 32. And I went on with the rest of the offensive line, went on the Conan O'Brien show. And you know, we were ahead. You know who else was on that show? We came on before Angelina Jolie.
Oh, sorry.
At that time, we were more famous than Angelina Jolie. The only reason he had us on is because I know Elway and Terrell Davis and everybody else turned him down. So it was myself, Tony Jones, Dave Diaz-Infante. I think it was the 3 of us that went on the show, and it was tremendous. So we had a great time. But yeah, I was about to pop right there.
What are you at right there? 350?
No, I was 290.
No!
Mark.
In your jaw? Are you kidding me?
Mark, come on.
I told you I still had the legs of a 180-pound man. So I was built like a cartoon character. Is it Family Guy? The dude, you know,
Yes.
Yeah.
That's how I'm actually built. So yeah, I was still only about 290 right there. But if you would have seen, I had these little I'm built like a turkey, Pat. Got these little skinny legs on this gigantic frame.
I'll tell you what, as long as you win Super Bowls, who cares? But when that photo popped up in the group text this morning, I was mind blown because you are still a physically fit monster, meathead, still throwing weight around, clanging and banging. So I'm going to let you know, didn't mean to show this on the actual video, but as soon as I saw your face and how good you look right now, I'm like, man, we have to show that guy. That was massive. All right, let's get to this here, Mark. You've been doing a great job calling games with Adam Amin. You two are a great tag team. I hope to see you guys kind of escalate to the top of the entire broadcast booth. I enjoy you a lot. Thanks for the shout out as well. Let's talk about this postponement of the game, though, because it is the topic at hand right now. COVID has infiltrated the NFL. Titans now have 9 positive cases, 4 players, 5 personnel people. They get kicked out of their building until at least Saturday. I didn't think there was going to be a chance to be a game on Sunday because that would just be insane to do so. Now they have officially postponed the game. They're thinking Monday or even Tuesday if it was to happen. At offensive line, much different than punter, obviously, hand-to-hand combat. A Tuesday game feels like a real potential pain in the ass for a lot of guys that have to, you know, kind of maul with each other for 70, 80 plays and then turn around to next Sunday. Does that matter? Am I thinking too much into that, or is that a real thing potentially?
No, I think it's a real thing. I mean, obviously it's a real thing. And you know, in this day and age, and I always tell you this, you know, playing offensive line is one of the most skilled positions you can play, simply because every time you line up, the guy across from you is a much better athlete than you are. And so, like, it's always one of those situations that I look at and say, man, you're already limited practice time-wise, and now all of a sudden you're going to say, hey, we're not going to get a practice at all. We're going to be basically, you know, without any pads on ever. We're going to do, you know, virtual walkthroughs or whatever, and we're going to be asked to go out and play a game. And that's going to be incredibly hard to do. But that's where we are right now. And those are the things. You knew eventually there would be, you know, a positive COVID test. And there'll probably be obviously more along the way, and how the NFL is going to deal with it. And bottom line is, you're going to be at a decided disadvantage because if you do play on Monday or you do play on Tuesday, the other team that you're playing against is going to have those time in practice, on the field, all that stuff. So that's a huge disadvantage. And the other thing that's a disadvantage, if you're the Steelers, it's the Steelers that are playing the Titans, I believe.
Yep.
You got to push your game back from Sunday to Saturday. So that's going to ruin your preparation for the next week. So that's tough on them as well. I mean, everybody has to kind of pay the price.
Okay, so Mark, a lot of people say, like, the practices, although they are incredibly detailed, at the end of the day, it's just football. It's just blocking, tackling. There's a lot of people that have never seen a football operation outside looking in. They're like, well, all these walkthroughs and all these meetings and all these things, not that big of a deal if they have to miss them and do them virtually. I think every human I've talked to that's been in the NFL is like, I digress completely from that. Walkthroughs are almost maybe more important than the actual practices at this point. And then film study, how big of an advantage would it be for the Steelers to be able to do a walkthrough with what they're expecting from the Titans, blitz pickups on the offensive line, maybe how their defense is going to look? And then how big of a disadvantage would that have been for the Titans not being able to do that?
Yeah, I think it's a huge advantage, obviously, for the team that can go through that stuff because it's about, the looks that you're going to see, that you're going to see. There's always going to be some unscouted looks, and you're going to have to deal with the unscouted looks. But there are looks that you're going to see, and the feel of those looks, what they look like, what a defense gets into or what an offense gets into, and the way they run a route combination, the way they run a blitz scheme, the way, all those things matter when you go through those in a walkthrough or in a practice environment situation at quote-unquote full speed. So it gives you a little preparation to what I should expect, what I should be ready to go for. So I think that part is important. I think it's a big advantage to the team that gets to do it, obviously. But again, it is what it is. You gotta roll through it. You gotta be able to mentally absorb as much as you can. And I think one of the things that would be an advantage to the team that doesn't go through that stuff, Pat, is you got to keep it simple, stupid. And with the Tennessee Titans, man, they're going to run the ball even down last week to the Minnesota Vikings. I think they were down at times almost double digit. They still came out in the second half, and I believe on first down, 65% of their plays on first down in the second half, even with a deficit, were still run plays. I mean, that's who they are. So they're going to stick with what they are. They have an identity, and that part for them bodes well, that we know what we are, we know what we do, and we're going to go ahead and continue to do those things.
Will not having a physicality during the week matter? Will it be like the first week when they didn't have preseason games where it kind of shocked some guys or kind of offset them? Or is this actually kind of good for the physicality part to kind of get some guys some rest up?
It depends on how set you are in your system and what you do. Like if you feel really good about what you are, you're a veteran team, you know exactly how you're going to operate. Then I think it can be a good thing. It can be a plus to get off your legs and do those things. There's just going to be, like I said, those unscouted looks, those things that you're not quite prepared for, and sometimes it's the adjustment of like the speed of the game, where it happens, how it happens, tackling on defense. Some of those things can bite you when you don't have that work, or you're not real settled in your work. We always, as a player, even though when I was in Denver my last 6 years, we didn't practice in pads a lot. Man, we flew around without pads on. We were scrimmaging once early in my career. We were scrimmaging the Carolina Panthers, and we went without pads. And we're flying around. We're just beating the tar out of these guys, right? And they're like, whoa, slow down. What are you doing? This is, no pads. And as everybody was walking off the field, the Panthers were going, man, those guys don't know how to practice without pads on. And we were saying, man, those guys don't know how to practice without pads on. Like, we flew around and played like it was a full scrimmage without pads. And they weren't used to that. And I think you've got to have kind of that speed, that sense, so you really kind of have a good feeling of what it's going to feel like in a game.
Jim Caldwell, my first couple of years, we went to the Super Bowl, AFC Championship a couple times or whatever. He said, I want to be the fastest, freshest team on the field on Sundays, because we had an older team. To your Peyton, Dallas, Gary Brackett, Saturday, that whole crew, it was an older team. He was like, I just want to be the fastest, freshest team on Sunday when we get there. So it was a lot of walkthroughs. Practice was always upbeat, fast. I mean, Peyton ran it, and there was a lot of time just in the film room. I guess if you have a veteran team in Zoom, you can do the film meeting. You can do the film. I think the walkthroughs are the biggest thing that is potentially the problem that we'll miss out on. But I guess we'll find out on Monday or Tuesday if the game game is played. What's up, Diggs?
Mark, sticking with that game, I mean, you were on a lot of teams that love to run the ball and were very good at running the ball, like the Titans. In a week when you knew that you were going up like a defense, the Steelers are number one in the league against the rush, giving up 50 yards a game. As far as like the offensive linemen on the Titans this week, like what is the attitude going into a game when you know you're going up against a great rushing defense and you guys love to run the ball?
Well, our attitude is we're going to out-execute you, and I don't care how good you are, we're better. And so we always had, we were like Globo Gym. We're better than you, and we know it. And so that was always the attitude. And the bottom line, I think, and this goes back to your play callers and your coordinators, your guys have to understand the value of a 2-yard run. As long as that 2-yard run is nasty. As long as at the end of that 2-yard run, there are dudes on the ground and there are dudes that are paying for it on the defensive side of the ball. And so our whole premise was, you may shut us down for a while, but we're going to stay to it and we're going to continue to grind it. And in doing that, we're going to have a couple of explosive plays in the play action game off of those runs. But eventually, we're going to wear you down to the point that third and fourth quarter, we're going to start getting gash type runs. And so we always had this philosophy, regardless of how good you think you are as a defense, we're going to out-execute you, one, because we're better than you, and two, we're just going to outlast you. And eventually, because let's face it, playing defense takes a lot more effort than it does playing offense. I mean, if we're on a backside of a 18 handoff and I cut the linebacker, and he falls on the ground, you know what he has to do? He's got to get up and run and chase the ball. You know what I do? I lay on my big fat stomach and just watch it. And then I slowly get up and walk back to the huddle. Like, there is zero effort on my part. That's why I always talked about, strength coaches in the NFL. And strength coaches used to drive me crazy. Like, we would run, the upbacks or the 50s or 100s. And I'm like, I would tell my strength coach all the time, if I have to run 40, somebody's going to score, right? You understand that, right? If I got to run 40 yards, somebody score. I always said when there was an interception and the guy was beyond me, I always used to run with an angle like this. And I would run myself right off the film. That way, then I could stop running. So I'd take off really, and I'd shake my head, and I'd really go my arms, and then I would just, and you don't see me anymore, right? Oh, because then I could stop running, because I'm not catching anybody, and I didn't want to look like, hey, look, Stink's not running after the play. Well, of course I'm not running after the play. I'm not going to catch anybody. So I just run myself right off the film.
Smart.
And then I could stop running and stop expending energy that I didn't need to expend.
You got to work smarter, not harder in all aspects of everything.
That's what I'm saying.
Especially whenever it comes to conditioning. I got very good at making it look like I was running as hard as I possibly could, so you didn't get a check for the lack of effort or anything like that.
Right.
And the Fat Boys having a conversation with the conditioning is always entertainment. I mean, it was whether it's buying a little bit extra time in between reps, asking questions about a sprint that we've done maybe 400 times. Like, so wait, we're going all the way down and then touch. And then all the way back. Yes, we've done this every single day. Whoa.
Back?
Whoa. Yeah, so we're going. I was always a big fan of that. I was always the offensive linemen were maybe the smartest workers in the history of work, and I always respect that. I like that. That's been a tradition for decades at this point. Let's pivot away from the Titans and the Steelers. Let's talk about this Chiefs team. Okay, this Chiefs team against the Chargers, who they've always struggled with, they get a game winner out of Harrison Butker, who I think will bounce back. I hope he'll bounce back. Might have been a couple holds, by the way. Ooh. Look at the placement of the hold. He was pulling balls to the left, which means the hold could have been about an inch towards him, which changes everything. New holder. Maybe that was it. Maybe Butker had a bad night. But after watching the game on Monday night, and you see what they did to the Baltimore Ravens, and people are calling this the game of the year potentially, and they made the Ravens look amateur. Was that more on the Ravens playing bad, you think, or the Chiefs just got back into the groove that they had there the first couple weeks in the entire end of last season?
Well, I think it's a lot of what the latter there, what the Chiefs are able to do. And I think, there's a couple of things about the Baltimore Ravens. They're 18-0 when they have a 10-point lead. Now they're 0-5 when they have a 10-point deficit. And the way they are built, they are so good at running the ball and so good at using their quarterback to run the ball. And all the play action stuff and the single read throws that come off of that stuff, that is what they're built to do. And they're exceptional at it. And when they're doing it, when the Baltimore Ravens are up on you by a touchdown, you just feel like you're down by 21 points. Because, offensive coordinators will start to look at it this way. Like, if they go up on you 7-0, then you're sitting there as an offensive coordinator because they possess the ball, they've run it down your throat, they've done all those things. They look at you and they say to themselves, you know what? This is going to be not a 12-possession game, but this is going to be a 7-possession game. So now all of a sudden we got to score on every possession. So then they start throwing the ball. They get away from their game plan. And Wink Martindale, their defense coordinator, blitzes the snot out of you. He gets a hit on your quarterback. Ball flutters up. They get an interception. Now they're up 14-0. And now it might as well be 35-0. And that's how you play the game because you're like, it doesn't matter. We're going to lose this game and we're going to lose the possessions. Whereas Kansas City is like, so what? We got 5 possessions. We'll score 4 touchdowns and a field goal. We still win. Like, that's how they play the game because they're so efficient and they're so good with their quarterback and the players that they have. And I think one of the things that goes unnoticed is how many times the Chiefs can design a play to get 5 guys out or 4 guys out in the pattern, and they hold up front because, Schwartz is outstanding. Fisher's a really good athlete and a good player at the left tackle position. Kelechi Osemele is a great player. Like, they have really good guys, and they do things that just people don't, just unscouted looks, things you don't see every week that they create as you see the formation that's on here right now. I mean, come on, what is that? I don't even know how, I speak, when it comes to formations, I speak Spanglish. I just kind of make up the formations as I go. But what the hell do you call that? Like, really, what do you call that?
All right, so
we got there on, whatever it is. It's just crazy.
We got an empty backfield here. We got quad stack to the left, 1 out to the right. I mean, that is legit. They just go in there.
Right.
I think
quad stack, that would be, you know what that is? Quad stack open right, and then they're going to motion the back into the backfield.
But then motion the
tray stack open right. I mean, it's ridiculous.
Hey, do you mind if we take a phone call real quick? Broncos fans on the line.
Yeah, absolutely.
Let's go to David in Iowa. What's going on, David?
Hey, how's it going, Pat?
Not too shabby. What's up, Stink? He just said too. I heard him.
Yeah, that's all good.
Hey, so big Broncos fan, been a Broncos fan since the Jake the Snake days. At what point of the season do we start to pack it in? At what point is it just we're not going to make the playoffs? Do we start getting draft capital and you start going on for the next season?
All right, great questions, David.
Yeah, thank you, David. From what I watched in the first 3 games, you've already packed it in. I mean, it's always funny to hear people say, "Hey, the games were close." No, the scores were close. The games weren't close. The scores were close. The games, not so much. I mean, for crying out loud, Tennessee missed 3 or 4 field goals in that game. And you won 16. They won 16-14. That should have been a double digit. That should have been a double digit loss. Pittsburgh just messed around and let you back into that game. That should have been a double digit loss. And Tampa should probably beat you 45-3 as opposed to 28-10. So, the scores have been close. The games haven't been close. This team is not good enough, and you've fallen victim. Obviously, you got your quarterback hurt, and I get that. And you fall victim into, we are so fast. I mean, they went on a victory tour after the draft about all the speed they drafted in the wide receiver position and how they built this team around Drew Lock. And, hey, listen, if you can't block people in this league, you can't win. That will never change. That's been since day one, since the inception of this league. If you can't block anybody, you can't win. They have given up 13 sacks and 29 quarterback hits in the last 2 weeks. 13 sacks and 29 quarterback hits. And some of those are on the quarterback. I understand that. But the bottom line is you guys, number one, you can't block them. Number 2, your coaching staff doesn't ever change. We're a 3-wides team, and we're going to drop back, and we're going to spread you out, and we're going to throw the ball. Well, you know what happens when you spread teams out? You spread out an offensive line, and this offensive line isn't good enough to block people when they're spread out. So if you're not going to condense formations and get into heavier packages and stuff, if you're just going to go, this is what we do, and dang it, we're going to adhere to it, well, how many more quarterbacks are you going to lose during the course of the season? You're down now. Right now, you're starting somebody off the practice squad on Thursday night. Brett Rippon. I played with his uncle Mark. We won a Super Bowl together. Brett Rippon out of Boise State, who got cut last year and then brought back to the practice squad, got cut this year. brought back to the practice squad. So that's who you're starting on Thursday night against the New York Jets. And I understand the New York Jets are abysmal. But, both of these teams are in the Trevor Lawrence Bowl, for crying out loud. They're fighting for Trevor Lawrence.
Tell us how you really feel. I mean, I don't want to even dive into the timeout fiasco that opening night against the Titans. They potentially had poor game management. What do you got, Connor?
Yeah, Mark, first of all, I love your passion about how much the Broncos suck. But if you were to guess between the Jets and the Broncos tomorrow night, which coach is going to be fired first? Because it's a barn burner, personally.
Right. I don't think there's any question it'll be Adam Gase.
Nice.
Because I think Adam Gase is already, I think they've already talked about if they lose this game, which, is a serious possibility. If they lose this game, that Adam Gase is gone. They haven't started talking about, they still talk about Vic Fangio after the season here in Denver. So he'll last probably at least till the bye week, but they win this game against the Jets, and he's saved. If the Jets lose this game Monday morning, Adam Gase may be gone. He'll be gone Friday morning, but he may be gone Thursday night. They may fire him in the third quarter. If they're behind by a lot in the third quarter, they may just say, "Hey, it'd be like Office Space. We're going to move your desk underneath the stairs." They're just going to be they're going to take his swing line stapler and they're going to just send him out.
If they Lane Kiffin him, that would be good for our show to talk about the next day.
Yeah.
Lane Kiffin, but terrible for Adam Gase, obviously. And Lane Kiffin talked about the bottom of his life being fired on a tarmac. Thought he was potentially done forever. Mark, I can't thank you enough. Every time you come on, I enjoy the hell out of your brain, buddy.
I appreciate it, man. Always love coming on and, give a shout out to the brand. Although Brand took the hit on the block punt, but it wasn't the punter's fault.
Snapper just got.
Although he did drop one. He did drop one in week 2.
Yeah. I mean, dropped one. They got one blocked. They'll get it figured out. I mean, they will get it figured out.
That's your boy McMahon, too, right?
Yeah, it's my guy. Yeah, it's my guy. Yeah, hey, watch your eyes there, all right? I saw what you did there. Ladies and gentlemen, you hear him on Fox. What game do you got this weekend?
I am Giants at Los Angeles at the Rams.
Oh, so Rams probably win by 60 there, potentially.
Mm-hmm. The Rams are actually – it's so funny, too, because, everybody says, like last year, Sean McVay, the league is caught up to Sean McVay, and I can't wait to tell Sean McVay, man, I'm so glad you remembered how to coach again because, last year. It's funny what happens when you change a few players and you get your offensive line back in shape and you start ramming it down people's throats again, how much smarter you get all of a sudden. So I'm looking forward to that. They're a really good team. The Rams are a really good team. Watching them on tape they're a fun team to watch. You and Adam are a really good team, too. We can't wait to listen to you again. Ladies and gentlemen, from Fox, Meathead, Super Bowl champion, Mark Schlereth. I never show up on your show with a tank top on, but you know what? This is for you, man. This is for the brand right here. Go ahead and give one. Go ahead and give one. Wait, I got... How old are you? Hey, Mark, I don't want you to out yourself here, but how old are you right now? I am 54. I'll be 55 in 55. Sorry, I'll be 55 in January, and I'm 246 pounds of twisted steel sex appeal. Yeah! Former soap opera actor Mark Schlereth. Yeah, thank you, Stink. All right, let's get to some phone calls here real quick. I enjoy the hell out of that guy.
Yeah, he's the man.
He told us a story one time, for those that are new listeners, that he still will just walk into random gyms. No, obviously not for quarantine. Yeah. He'll walk into random gyms just because he is a meathead, still moves, and he'll see like a group of guys, over there doing bench and really feeling themselves. He'll walk over to them, ask if he can lift with them. They say, yeah. They get up. He'll put a plate on either side. He'll get down, rep it out for 5, put it back down on whatever they're doing, take his plate off, and then walk off, which is the ultimate meathead alpha move in the gym. And that's why I enjoy the hell out of Mark Schlereth. A lot of conversation right now about that postponed game and everything like that. I'm intrigued to see how they figure this out, because this will showcase the conversations that were happening in the offseason in the NFL offices, right? This is 100% of, hey, we have a plan. This is what we're going to do. They had the return to football plan where you walk into the building, you're getting like a human car wash. You do this. They got hockey glass in between every single locker. We're going to be socially distant. We got this contact tracer. We got all these rules and everything like that to hopefully prevent this type of situation. Now they're in this situation. What did they prepare for this? We didn't know. They're going to ford the river yesterday. Now they're postponing the game. We'll kind of figure figure it out. Maybe they're figuring it out as they go. Hopefully the big brains over there will make some good decisions. Who knows? Let's go to Michael in Indiana. What's going on, Mike?
Hey, how you doing?
Not too shabby. What do you want to talk about, brother?
I want to talk about a couple things. First thing is I want to address the boys, and you always say you don't know why you guys are so popular, and I think with this COVID thing that all of our boys were taken away. We weren't allowed to hang out with them, weren't allowed to see them, and the boys became our boys.
Oh, we're all boys.
We're boys.
Boys, dude.
And hang out with all y'all. And
Michael,
we appreciate it.
we appreciate you for being one of the boys, pal. We appreciate you being part of the squad, man. We're lucky to be here for you.
Second of all, you haven't addressed that Eric Ebron is on the Pat McAfee tour. He's gone from Foxy's team to your team to, oh my gosh.
Oh, no. We're not boys.
You had a good concept, though.
I thought we were boys. Couldn't remember your name, Nick.
Yeah, had a good concept going there. He's 100% right. Ebron with the Steelers scored a touchdown this past weekend. Dropped a pass early in the game, but he came back and bounced back. I think he's a good weapon for old Ben Roethlisberger.
He's always great the first year he's out of place.
Let me tell you a little story about high-quality shades that are far less than expensive brands. And also has one of the best warranties in the history of anything. With replacements if your glasses are lost or broken, in a lifetime craftsmanship warranty. Plus, every single time you make a purchase, 10 meals are donated to fight hunger in America. Wow. That's Shady Rays, which is an independent sunglasses company, so they are not some big corporation that overcharges for their shades. Everyone knows sunglasses and blue hue glasses are way overpriced. They all come from the same damn factory. Shady Rays is out to do it different with premium polarized shades at a fraction of the big name brand costs. Shady Rays has one of the best warranties in all of anything. Replacements of the shades if they're lost or broken for any reason. It doesn't matter if you're Connor and you're stumbling around on a Saturday, fall on your face and break your glasses. It doesn't matter if you're getting on a boat or off a boat and you sit on them. It doesn't matter if you lose them into the ocean. Replacements if they're lost or broken, no matter what, and a lifetime warranty. Right now, you can use code McAfee for 25% off any pair of shades at ShadyRays.com, and you can get a quality polarized pair of sunglasses or incredibly handsome, good-looking blue shade glasses for as low as $36. Wow. Redeem only at ShadyRays.com, where you can find all their newest and best shades. They have so many different styles that fit so many different shapes of heads. They lifetime warranty and also replacement if you lose or break them. Nobody else is doing that in the shades game, and they have incredible offers. $36 you can get a great pair of glasses for at ShadyRays.com and use code McAfee for 25% off any pair. Hour one wrapping up here. In hour two, we'll have Matt Hasselbeck joining us to talk about Joey Burrow getting slaughtered. Is it his fault? His coach said so. What will Matt say? That's a tease. This is the Pat McAfee Show, Wednesday, September 30th, 2020. We have a kid named Evan Fox in this office. This kid was once a videographer for weddings. He shoots no less than 200 basketballs a day. Now he's become full-time producer of Pat McAfee Show. The kid, I think, could potentially play in the NBA. He's been on the sideline of the national championship. Kid's been at the Super Bowl. He's one of the most talented dudes when it comes to interneting. And if Foxy drains an NBA 3 on his first shot, we will add $1,000 to the for $1,000 to win $1,000. You make this $1,000 for $2,000 cash for the listeners.
I'd be lying if I said I wasn't nervous. My hands are sweating right now. I had no clue this was happening. I have no warm-ups. This is the biggest shot I've ever had. So I'm a little sore. I've never had a shot worth $1,000. I've never had a shot with this many eyes on me. But hey, I have no excuses.
That wasn't
about
knees weak. Arms are heavy. Go ahead, Foxy. Kid from Michigan with a beard. Evan Foxy with a fresh fade. Couple dribbles. He gets set. He steps up. He puts it up. Mom's spaghetti. He's nervous, but on the surface, he looks calm and ready to drop bombs.
Disgusting, despicable, airball for nothing. Short left brick.
That was the worst shot I've ever seen him shoot in the history of this office.
Without question.
It was an absolute brick. Have you ever seen a kid shoot that terribly? I left it out. Another miss.
One, I'm a roast Foxy. He was the reason Zito crashed the RV at MetLife. Foxy, you might look good, but you're a jinx, cuz you're like
He's dead. He's dead. Rest in peace, Foxy. Evan Fox is currently 0 for 3 and currently shooting 0% in these types of shots. You have missed disgustingly. We're sorry, listeners. We're sorry, followers. We're sorry, subscribers. Evan Fox is just trying to ruin it at all stops. We're 0 for 4 in these types of shots. There's 0 chance this ball goes in. He's gone 0 for 5. That was a $1,000 shot that didn't even hit rim.
I stink.
In front of the millions and millions of people. He held it up too. That's tough. That's embarrassing. The kid who never misses when the camera isn't on. Evan Fox, who's very handsome and very talented, will attempt to shoot for $2,000 cash for the listeners. We will give away 2 great. Oh, he passes it to himself off the break. He steps up for the win. He steps up for the wing. I am so happy he hangs on the rim in an attempt to break it. We will give away $2,000 because Evan Fox is now 1 for 7. And nothing but splash for the young, handsome Evan Foxy. Wow, what a day. I am so happy for you. The Pat McAfee Show. There'll be no rules for our guests, for us, for the things we could talk about. Yes, speaking his mind. I've never had a problem expressing my opinions or my thoughts or anything like that. While being relatable. I haven't had that manufactured fake-ass celebrity that a lot of people have whenever they go on those big networks. I've had a chance to really build my crew, build my following, build my audience. And ridiculous. What am I supposed to do? So I'm supposed to look at something that I can definitely afford and say, nah. Is that what I'm supposed to do? The Pat McAfee Show starts in 3, 2, 1. Hello! It's Wednesday, September 30th, 2020. Hour 2 kicks off right now. Great beat drop there by Twine. We appreciate him. We appreciate Schefter, Mark Schlereth, joining us in the first hour to talk about the wild world that the NFL is currently living in, with one of their games being postponed because of a coronavirus positive outbreak in the Tennessee Titans facility. I just had some delicious Arby's roast beef. I just forced it down there. And I almost just, regurgitated it up there because I shoved 2 double roast beef sandwiches down my mouth right there.
Quickly.
With no bread, by the way. I've decided I'm not going to be fat this fall. I am giving it my best effort. We're only 4 weeks in. I do not know if this will be able to remain, but I feel a lot better about how I'm living right now.
You look good, and I also have some breaking baseball news right now.
No way! Is there even such a thing, Tyler?
Oh, yeah. Playoff baseball, and friend of the program, Trevor Bauer currently has a no-hitter.
Oh, whoa! Against who?
The Atlanta Braves.
How far into the game?
He's 3 innings through this thing, but I tell you what, he is throwing fucking BBs right now. Several strikeouts. He's got a no-no through 3, 5 Ks.
Okay, so right now there is baseball happening. Playoff baseball is happening.
Oh, yeah.
Wow. And the Reds are playing against the Braves.
Correct.
And Trevor Bauer, Power Hour, the Cincinnati Reds ace, who was pitching in the desert this offseason whenever he couldn't be around anybody, is now currently throwing a no-hitter in the playoffs?
That is correct.
Let's go, Trevor. Wow. Let's go. Big baseball show.
Boy, Bauer.
8 games today.
Yesterday, Jet Passon joined us via ESPN. I had to unfollow him on Twitter because I have this distinct rule that if I have 4 times the amount of followers you have and you don't follow me, I can't follow you. So is Jet Passon and I's relationship going to be on the rocks? Potentially. But he did join the show yesterday, and he said that last night the Yankees were going to struggle because Bieber was it too late to say sorry for the New York Yankees. And I guess the Yankees actually bombed on him last night. And you're not taking a victory lap because you're a Yankees fan since birth, and this isn't that big of a deal. But Jet Passon tried to put a little bit of doubt in your mind, and you said, excuse me, Garrett Cole's still Garrett Cole. Bieber ain't Garrett Cole.
Yeah, I mean, that's why they gave the guy $350 million, so he could come in and strike out 13 guys in his first postseason appearance. The Yankees have been banged up, now they got the full lineup back, and then we could talk about who's going to win the series.
And that's baseball talk. We'll keep you updated with how Trevor Bauer Power Hour's doing. If he throws a no-hitter in the playoffs, good for him. Shout out to him because he is stirring the pot every single night. So if we can have an electric character in baseball who also is throwing no-hitters, that's what I'm here for. A man that they paid $350 million, Garrett Cole, you said? A man who should be paid $350 million for his incredible brain in the NFL world. You can see him on Sunday NFL Countdown. Ladies and gentlemen, bald head, incredible quarterback, formerly of the Green Bay Packers, Seattle Seahawks, Tennessee Titans, and the Indianapolis Colts. Now, you can find him all over the interwebs with his big brain and on ESPN. Ladies and gentlemen, the handsome Matt Hasselbeck.
Smart. Very smart.
Oh, that's good job.
Hey, I'm in Nashville, Tennessee, Pat. You can't be too safe these days here in Nashville.
Hey, no glove, no love for your face down there in Nashville, to be honest.
Yeah.
Have you talked to anybody in the facility? I forgot that how close your relationship is with the Titans because you were the starter down there for a good bit, and then before you came to the Colts. What is the messaging around the facility? Because Vrabel came out and said, hey, we did everything we were supposed to do. This thing is just going to happen with this COVID-19 thing. Is that what you're hearing from the facility and from the people in Tennessee?
Well, I think you're hearing it from Mike Vrabel exactly what you expect to hear from Mike Vrabel. Like, hey, so what? We'll show up anywhere, anytime, pick a parking lot, a stadium, ready to play. Practice, no practice. I think what I've actually heard from some players on that team is like, hey, listen, this is a huge opportunity. If we can go out there and get a win against the Pittsburgh Steelers with no practice, then think about what practices going forward might look like. Maybe it's not going to be such a grind. Oh, you got to hit against each other every day on Wednesday and Thursday and Friday in order to prove how tough you are so you can go get a win on Sunday. Like, this is an opportunity. I think NFL players around the league are sort of like secretly rooting for the Tennessee Titans this week. Like, man, if they could get a win, we have some leverage here going forward with our coaching staffs.
Well, especially week 13, week 14, week 15, week 16, week 17, and they put a limit on how many padded practices are allowed to be had. And
I think it's 14 now, 14 padded practices.
And I don't think I've ever seen a coach not hit the limit, by the way. I think it's almost like this is the standard now. You have to go there. If they can get a dub after Zoom calls and not even seeing each other, I think you're 100% right. There's a lot of people that are like, you see what what the Titans did? And the Steelers team's no joke. They didn't even practice. They didn't even see each other. Hell, they were at home sleeping in until 9 a.m. every morning, and they got a dub. Let's go forward with that. Let's talk about that game. They're saying it's potentially being postponed to Monday or Tuesday. Diana Rossini, coworker of yours, is reporting that. Schefter reiterated the fact that maybe the game goes to 4:30 on a Monday out of nowhere if it gets there. As a quarterback who has to prepare. Okay, and I think that's a position that has to be the most prepared. And I don't know if something just died in the off the camera there or not, but I hope everything's
we got animals, man. It's like living at Zoom. You got dogs, you got your kids, you got all that stuff, you know?
Well,
anyway, keep going.
You're an adult. I apologize. But as quarterback for Ryan Tannehill here, they're a running team.
Yeah.
Right? They're very much a running team. So you'd be able to keep it very simple and all that stuff. But what does Ryan Tannehill lose out on without the walkthroughs, without the practice, if the game is postponed to Monday or Tuesday?
Listen, I always loved playing on Thursday Night Football. Because I knew we were going to keep it simple offensively. We were going to try to invent new plays. We were going to go to our bread and butter plays. And basically, we're just going to do what we always do it a little better. And the wrinkles would be pretty simple. That's one thing that I always liked. Another thing that just, I think, an advantage for Tennessee in this situation going up against the Pittsburgh Steelers. That Pittsburgh Steelers defense, that scheme, it's Keith Butler running it right now. But it really has not changed since the days of Dick LeBeau. It's the same kind of you could go into the encyclopedia and sort of know what you need to prepare for. That's not why they're the best defense in football. They're the best defense in football because they're so versatile and they've got all these different guys that can rush the passer, and they got guys that can drop out in pass coverage when you're double teaming them in pass protection. I think the advantage for the Tennessee Titans is that the Pittsburgh Steelers are very mathematical. And so you got the combination of hey, we're going to simplify. Maybe we have fresh legs. They're not going to necessarily surprise us with anything. I can sit home on my computer and watch the film, watch the tapes, watch the blitz pickups that they're going to bring. I think the Tennessee Titans actually, if there is a team or a matchup that could pull off a victory in this COVID situation, it's Tennessee.
Coach Herman Boone had the philosophy, we're only going to run 4 plays. Okay, and we're going to run
like Novocaine, man. Eventually, it'll work. Yep.
And that feels like kind of the Tennessee Titans plan right now. You saw the mask on Vrabel that said, "Please give the ball to Derrick Henry." And this past week, they held true to their account and say, even if we're down, we're going to continue to run the ball. First half, we'll beat them down. Third quarter, fourth quarter, some of these will pop open. We'll be able to make up whatever we got to do. And that's very different than what the Baltimore Ravens tend to do. It feels like the Baltimore Ravens, anytime they get down, they just go completely away from the run. They're like, okay, now we got to pass. We got to pass. We got to pass. We saw that on Monday night. The Tennessee Titans don't do that. They hold true to what they are. They know their identity. So maybe it isn't that big of a deal that they don't have a couple days of walkthrough or practice.
Well, I would just say this. You make a great point, Pat. Mike Vrabel, run the damn ball, all that stuff. The offensive coordinator for Tennessee is this guy named Arthur Smith. Arthur Smith was an offensive lineman at the University of North Carolina. I think he understands what an offensive line really wants out of a play caller. He spent much of his career, when I was with the Tennessee Titans, he was actually a defensive coach, charting and working on the defensive side of the ball. He understands where run gap discipline is weak. A lot of these creative, sort of guys with maybe a quarterback background, they let defenses off the hook where they may be susceptible in the run game. I think Arthur Smith has kind of mastered all of it. He's mastered the passing game. He also sees it through the lens of an offensive lineman. And therefore, that marriage of Arthur Smith plus Mike Vrabel, they're going to run the football. They are not going to off the hook. And that's part of the reasons that they are undefeated and one of the best teams in football.
COVID might be getting a hold of your service there like every 50th word. You kind of got a Jason Witten thing going on. But can we talk about Joe Burrow for a second? Because you are a guy who, as soon as you came into the locker room, you were this wealth of knowledge at the quarterback position, kind of a calm, cooling presence. But you're also backing up a guy who took a lot of shots. And a lot of people said it was his style of play. That's why he held on to the ball too long. He never gave up on a play, so he'd get killed. And ultimately, that shortened his career. And Andrew Luck was a once-in-a-generation type talent. It was awesome to be a teammate and to watch him play. But it feels like whenever you watch Joe Burrow, he has been slaughtered. And that shot he took last week, his neck and head dislocated from his body, and then it came back. And he came back in and led his team to a tie.
Hell yeah.
The Eagles. Now, Zach Taylor has come out, and there's a couple quotes where he's like, I don't want to say he's blaming Joe Burrow for the hits, but he's not letting Joe Burrow Burrow off the hook, saying he's holding on to the ball too long, he's setting himself up. If you're the backup quarterback for Joe Burrow and you walk into that locker room, what are you saying to Joe Burrow? What is the mindset that Joe Burrow should have? And is he just a guy who just likes getting slaughtered? Because I forget who told us this the other day. Mark Sanchez told us that he doesn't mind taking a shot to kind of like get him into a game. But at some point, if you're the franchise, those shots where you're potentially getting whiplash from a car accident that's happened, that's going to affect the entire team. What would you say to Joe Burrow, and how do you move forward in this entire thing to keep him safe and hopefully playing for as long as possible?
Yeah, well, I'm really impressed with Joe Burrow, but he's been sacked 14 times in 3 games. That's the most in the NFL. Last week against Philly in this amazing tie that they had, he was sacked, I think, 8 times and hit 18 times. So it's way too much. You're not going to last the season. And their pass protection is not great. So, like, the offensive line, sure, they can take some blame. There were a couple plays. There was a play in overtime. It looked like Tecmo Bowl when you pick pass 2 and your opponent picks pass 2, and it's like an automatic sack. That's what it looked like with Fletcher Cox, a couple of times. And then a couple of times I would put it on coaching a little bit. You've got your tight end in a 2-point stance acting like a wide receiver trying to block Barnett or a defensive end. Like, it's not going to happen. It looks good on paper. It's never going to work. So those happen, okay? But then talking about the quarterback, there were sacks that were definitely on the quarterback. Like, you're not in college anymore. You're not going to make guys miss on the regular. So Mike Holmgren would always say this to me when I was playing for him. He was my head coach. He would say, you can never, ever take a sack on a 3-step drop. That would be your fault. The other thing is, if I ever call a movement play, like a naked bootleg or a sprint out, that's a change the launch point. We're going to help out the offensive line. We're going to help out you. If it's there, it's there. If it's not, throw it away. If you ever take a sack on a naked bootleg or a movement play, that is your fault. That is the quarterback's fault. And so you talk about that hit that Joe Burrow took, and I've got a tremendous amount of respect for Joe Burrow. Takes the hit, misses a play. He's back in the game, not only playing, but playing really well. But that was a fake run to the right, naked bootleg to the left, couldn't break contain, defense stayed at home, no sweat, throw it away. But what did he do? He said, no, I'm going to naked left. They got outside contain. I'm going to cut back right and then throw the ball downfield to Tyler Boyd, and boom. His year was almost ended with that hit. So luckily he's a very tough guy. It's been my experience as a quarterback, though, you make those mistakes sort of like once, and then you're like, okay, I got it. Kind of like when like a young baby like puts their hand in a candle and like sees the fire, and then they themselves like, now I know I'm never reversing field like that on a naked bootleg.
Dad of the year, by the way, letting your kid just play with fire as a baby. Unbelievable there. Let's talk about
gotta learn.
Luck, though, seemed to never learn. And I think Andrew Luck, who I'm referring to here, if I get this right, he and I didn't have a lot of conversations because he was so much smarter than me and, whatever. But when you hear other people talk about his style of play, and I overheard him say some things, and I was part of it almost felt like he thought he was disrespecting football if he was to give up on a play, or that's not how you're supposed to play football. I don't think people know that enough about Andrew Luck. Andrew respected football so much, and he thought if he slid or threw a ball away, he wasn't respecting the game enough. So those big hits, whenever you hear him mic'd up saying hey, good hit, man, he genuinely thought that was a good hit. He liked the game of football. If you're Joe Burrow and you have that same mindset, how do you, as a vet, tell him, because I always wanted to say this to Andrew, but I was nowhere near in the position to say it. Hey, if you stay alive, that helps everybody else in this building. If you tell your offensive line, hey, I need you to protect me a little bit, you're not being an asshole. What you're doing is you're actually looking out for everybody else in this facility, because if you're healthy and playing well, that helps out everybody else. I think that's sometimes hard for quarterbacks who have this mindset I got to take these hits, I got to do this for the good of the game. It's you need to see a bigger picture here. Actually, you taking those hits isn't good for the game of football, especially in this particular building. How do you relay that message to a young quarterback that has that mindset?
Yeah, listen, quarterbacks are just trying to earn the respect of their teammates. And I think that Joe Burrow not only earned the respect of his teammates, but also the rest of the league, taking that hit against Philly, being out for one play because that's the rule, and then coming back in. The hits are going to find you. You don't have to go prove how tough you are. I would say this. him taking unnecessary hits, and you mentioned Andrew Luck, any young quarterback, it goes back to taking sacks. There's some really good quarterbacks right now that just take sacks when they don't need to, and that's what's stopping them from taking it to the next level. If you talk about quarterback sack rate, okay, who's number one? Patrick Mahomes is number one. Who's number two? Aaron Rodgers is number two. I would think that most young quarterbacks, Joe Burrow included, they want to be more like Mahomes and Aaron Rodgers. So throwing the ball on time, knowing when to give up on a play, understanding that it's okay to punt, like those are three great coaching points that young quarterbacks sometimes don't learn right away.
Matt, do you see what the quarterback situation that's going on in Chicago, is that ultimately going to be a problem when you're kind of like going back and forth between two guys?
It's really tricky because I don't think Trubisky played that poorly that he warranted getting, pulled so quickly.
Hey, Sanchez said the same exact thing, by the way. He was like, it felt like a quick pull.
Well, it definitely was like, man, like you have no wiggle room. Like if you do one bad thing, you're gone. Like you're out. Somebody else's turn. And then, but what complicates it is like Nick Foles comes in and throws 3 touchdowns. He actually had 2 other plays that were called touchdowns in the game that were reversed through instant replay. One was called incomplete and one was ended up called an interception. Ugh. But anyway, he comes back. It was 28 to whatever. It's a huge lead. And he comes back and he wins the game. So, for me, you can't turn back away from Nick Foles now. Like now it's like, hey, Mitchell Trubisky, we were 2-0 with you, but like we're turning the page. Like this, the mechanics of it are really dicey for a head coach. The thing that I would say, just kind of knowing both of these guys a little bit, you do have 2 very, very unselfish guys in Trubisky and Foles. And so it might work, like collectively as a unit. Like it might work. It might be a two quarterback operation this year that would not happen on most teams just because of the ego factor at the quarterback position. Usually it could potentially work in Chicago.
Well, that's what I was going to ask you is like, easy though. He's very mad at the ref for that interception. That seemed like a bad call. But quarterback naturally has an insane amount of ego, like just not have to. Ever since you're in high school, you're propped up as like, okay, here's the hero of our team. You're probably getting like all the benefits that people say athletes get that I've never received ever in my entire life, but it's the quarterback that's doing it. In college, quarterback is propped up like, hey, here we go. In the NFL, quarterback is propped up. So whenever you bring in 2 guys, okay, I've never seen this situation before, 2 vets who have had success, and they're put in the same room. The dynamic of that, even if you're saying they're unselfish, the rest of the locker room, too, is trying to figure out who to rally behind. And when Nick Foles gets in there and plays that good, especially at the time they pulled it, I would assume that players who can sense out bullshit pretty quick are like, oh, they've been looking to put Nick Foles in for this. And then once he has success, it's like, okay, this is our guy now. What if Nick Foles struggles and they go back to Mitch? I mean, that's just you're just talking about a tsunami of emotions in that locker room that doesn't make anything any easier. Even though they're still undefeated, it feels like that is inevitably going to be a boiling point that's just going to blow up everywhere.
Yeah, I agree, but it happens at other positions, right? You see it happen at wide receiver, running back, like a guy that should be starting isn't starting, or a guy that plays well or gets hurt, plays playing well but gets hurt, loses his job, or maybe there's a guy drafted high, so he has to play. So I think the rest of the locker room is going to watch how these 2 quarterbacks handle this situation. Like, are they going to put the Bears first? Are they going to put the team first? Or are they going to put the fact that, like, hey, the team's got an option year on my contract, or hey, I took less money to come here to play in Chicago than I would have made in Jacksonville because I wanted to be here on this team with this defense and this coaching staff. Like, is the money going to come into it? Is the position, is the depth chart going to come into it? Or is it going to be what every coach talks about, like, hey, when you strap up that chin strap, it's all about team. So I think the other people in the locker room are watching this, and like, I don't know, people talk about quarterbacks lead in the locker room. This is an example of how quarterbacks lead in the locker room. How you handle a demotion is how you can lead in the locker room. I remember I got benched in Seattle for they traded me. They given up a lot to get me, and I get benched for Trent Dilfer, who was the veteran quarterback. He had just won the Super Bowl with Baltimore, and that was a tough thing for me at the time. But one of the things that I did was like, you know what? All right, I'm going to take this as an opportunity to work on myself, get better at my game, listen to Mike Holmgren, now coach Trent Dilfer, see if I can learn anything from it. I'll be ready the next time I get my chance. And what I heard from my teammates, what I heard from many of my teammates during that time was, hey, I respect the way that you handled the demotion. I respect the way that you were, even though you were voted captain of this team, now Trent's the starting quarterback and he's really the captain of our team. You know, you're wearing the C on your patch, but he's leading this team. He's the guy at the pregame talk. He's the guy, you know, with the speech after the game. I respect how you've humbled yourself and learning from that. And I respect that you'll be ready the next time you get your chance. And there are other position groups that deal with that exact same thing, offensive line, defensive line, DBs, whatever. So I think in a way it can kind of galvanize the team and bring the team closer together. But just as easily, if the guys don't handle it that way, it can rip the team apart and this whole thing will be a disaster.
Well, quarterback's a much different thing than every other position. I think you would even agree with that because it is like the face of the team. And I'm happy to hear that you didn't think about stabbing Trent Dilfer in like the hamstring. Or
No, I thought about it. I actually thought about it many times.
Yeah.
But like what I was able to work through was like, no, that's not the right idea. The right idea is to just like put your nose down and just get down to work. Get to work and work on your weaknesses.
We have some more breaking baseball news.
What?
Trevor Bauer, power hour, lost his no-hitter.
Oh,
Fourth inning, infield single.
Good God.
Did you
Yeah.
That may have been on me. So, you know.
Little dribbler.
Yeah.
Oh, my God. Ty interrupted earlier for some baseball news because Trevor.
It's all good. It's all good.
No, did you before? He just ruined Trevor Bauer's fucking.
Yeah, no, I saw it. Yeah. It's kind of like when the announcer, like Pat, when you and I were calling Thursday Night Football, you would talk up the goal kicker right before a kick. And then I could sense it in your voice. You were like, oh, shouldn't have done that.
Miss.
But I mean, that's not a real thing. That's not a real thing.
I agree. I agree completely, by the way. Things are going to happen. Things are going to happen that are completely out of control. I'm a big control the controllables guy. You know what I mean?
Ooh.
Blinders on.
One of my favorite things, Pat, I don't know if you watch the Red Zone channel, but I love watching on the Red Zone channel. And he'll always like purposely try to jinx the field goal kicker, but like proving that it's not a thing. Like the field goal operation is because of the snap, the kick, and the hold. You know, really, that's the thing.
Yeah, I mean, the Red Zone channel stinks. Sucks.
Yep.
Both of them.
Well, I'm usually on a train. With like a laptop.
Do you-
So that's really
do you
all
own
that
a
I
train?
got.
Oh, my God.
Hey, do you know that we looked into buying a train during the quarantine?
Really?
Yeah. We're going to do a Hello America tour on the trains. Turns out that is a dangerous game to get into, those trains. And you're not getting anywhere fast. Do you mind if we take a call? Question for you?
Sure. Let's do it.
Let's go to Chuck in Chicago. If this is Pagano, I will lose my mind. What's going on, Chuck?
How's it going, guys? How you guys feeling on this glorious Wednesday?
That's not him. There's two words in there that we would have been able to tell. It was guys and glorious. So what do you want to talk about, Chuck?
I want to talk about this potential Super Bowl matchup between the Colts and the Bears this weekend. And how do you think the Colts fare against the best D in the NFL led by Khalil Mack and the biggest D in the NFL held by Nick Foles?
Great question, Chuck. And I like the way you worded both of those things. Incredibly well delivered. That's a good phone call right there. Interesting you say that the Bears defense is the best because the Colts defense is actually the best in the NFL right now when it comes to certain ratings and things like that. This should be a pretty good game, especially with Nick Foles and Frank Reich's knowledge of Nick Foles starting there. The Colts team seems to be coming together. They haven't really played anybody, right? They beat the dog shit out of the Jets, and I think everybody's going to do that, except for maybe the Broncos, who are getting boat raced by everybody as well. So Thursday night's going to be interesting. How do you feel about this Colts team? Phillip Rivers seems to really have bought in. He's loved by everybody in the building, from what I've been told. And as opposed to that shaky start against the Jaguars, they're figuring it out. And the Bears, on the flip side, have a lot of drama going on.
Yeah, the biggest thing for the Colts is they got to protect the football. Last year, Phillip Rivers had kind of a turnover problem, and that's why he's no longer the quarterback there. So he comes in to Indy in week one, has a turnover problem. They lose to Jacksonville. Since that time, though, they have got it fixed, and Phillip Rivers is playing very, very good football.
Okay.
And I think that's probably the thing that I would say, like just being a veteran quarterback going to another team, there is a learning curve. You saw it with Tom Brady. He looked terrible against the New Orleans Saints, and then he's figured it out. Now he looks like Tom Brady. They'll be 4-1 here in no time. So I think the Philip Rivers and basically in Indy, they have figured it out. The wild card for me, though, is Nick Foles going up against Frank Reich. There probably isn't a coach in football that Nick Foles has a better relationship with than Frank Reich. And just remembering back to when Nick Foles was in Jacksonville, trying to get out of Jacksonville, trying to get traded into an offense or to a coaching staff that he really felt like was a great fit for him. I believe that his first choice, if I remember correctly, his first choice was the Indianapolis Colts. That was his first choice. They chose to sign Philip Rivers instead. And maybe the timing was off for him because he was under contract. Philip Rivers was going to be a free agent. But his first choice would have been, I believe, the Indianapolis Colts. And his second choice would have been the Chicago Bears. So just the personal relationship of going up against somebody that you really love and respect the way that he feels about Frank Reich. They won the Super Bowl when he was with Philly, and Frank Reich and Doug Peterson had a lot to do with that. That's, to me, the most intriguing thing about this matchup. But there's all kinds of stuff. Chuck Pagano, going back to Indy, all that kind of stuff. But to me, Foles is the wild card, and that's, I guess, what I want to say about that.
Do you think? And that's all I got to say about that.
Now Walker hit this drive.
Different quote, but still just as good, Zito. Do you think that Nick Foles is going to play better or worse because of those emotions of playing against a guy that you respect on the other sideline? Does that bring out the best in you?
If it was kind of a hothead person. Yeah, if it was a hothead person, kind of like I was a little bit of a hothead person.
No.
That maybe those emotions would make you play worse. I remember Brett Favre, the first time that we played against Mike Holmgren when he was the Seattle coach, which all of a sudden it was Monday Night Football. Brett Favre didn't play like Brett Favre. He didn't have control of his emotions that night, I think he would tell you. Nick Foles is not that kind of quarterback. He's more reserved. Mm-hmm. He's a little bit more calm.
What?
I think his style of play would lead him to have a good game.
What? Hey, whenever you're just going to drop locks out in the middle of a conversation, let us know. So you think the Bucs are going to win this weekend?
Yeah, sounds like
rather large.
And the Bears are going to win too, right?
And
listen, I looked at the Bucs when everyone was trying to jump off the bandwagon week one. They're trying to say Bruce Arians can't coach, Tom Brady can't play, Gronk should go back to wrestling. They're going to be fine. That first game against New Orleans for them was their preseason game. They had no offseason. They how hard it is to go in and learn a new system. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers they're gonna be winning football for a lot. I forget their first tough matchup, but I know I wrote it down that they're gonna be 4-1 by going into week 6.
Got it. Go ahead, Connor.
Oh, thank you. Matt, Adam Gase is an absolute cancer to really good players. I mean, Kenyon Drake, Devontae Parker, Tannehill, Lev Bell, Jamal Adams. You can keep going.
Sam Darnold.
Yeah, exactly. So is Sam Darnold Joe Montana and he just happens to have Adam Gase as his coach, or what's going on there?
Yeah, it's a tough situation. I think, one thing I do, I'm in this fantasy football league like a lot of people. And
whoa.
Sweet.
One thing that I notice is that the defense that plays the Jets is always picked in fantasy, like on the waiver wire. It could be like a terrible defense, and they pick whoever's going up against the Jets. The Jets are struggling, and I would say it is going to be an uphill battle for Adam Gase to get it turned around, unfortunately.
Oh, you ever coach? Like, for instance, this Jets job allegedly is going to be open potentially on Friday morning or maybe on Monday. Would you ever throw your name into the hat and be like, you know what? I do good on the TV. My suits look good. We got that cool New York studio where we all kind of sit at a round table, and we got Bruno Mars, Teddy Bruschi here to the left, and legend Randy Moss here across the table, and Ponder's guiding the show, and Rex Ryan, legendary. I love my Sundays, you're probably saying, and I get to travel down to Nashville, get COVID, go back to New York. I get to live this life. Have you ever thought about potentially getting into the coaching world?
Listen, coaching's a lot harder than, for sure, people on TV realize, and it's a lot harder than players realize. So there's a lot that goes into that. So no, I don't think that I'm that would be foolish of me to just say, oh, I could be the guy that does that. However, Pat, there are some great assistant coaches out there that have never gotten an opportunity to be a head coach. And there are some people that actually would, in my opinion, would be a better head coach than they are doing what they're currently doing as a offensive coordinator or a defensive coordinator. But specifically, I think, and I'm not just saying this because I'm on your show, and I've said this, check my resume, I've said this 100 times, 100 different ways.
Check it.
Special teams coaches are the most qualified position to then become a head coach.
Bingo.
They are the position that deals with game management. They deal with the entire roster management. They know the situational football far better than usually a defensive coordinator would know it. And certainly a guy that maybe is good at just calling plays. So would it be me? No, I don't think it should be me. But just recycling the same old play caller on offense or defense is part of the reason why I think NFL owners get it wrong when they do the hiring of their coaching staff sometimes.
Hey, amen. Couldn't say it better myself. Ladies and gentlemen, you can see him on ESPN on Sunday. I really do enjoy your show. And every day that passes, Brewski does look more and more like Bruno Mars, which is not a bad thing. He looks unbelievable. I love the give and take you guys have on there and the information. I set a lot of bets off of the things that you guys say. And every once in a while, I will text you and say what you just said was very stupid. But normally, it's very, very smart. Ladies and gentlemen, Matt Hasselbeck. Get out of Nashville with no COVID, pal. All right, we got to get to a break. Stat. I mean, we
just blew right by it.
We blew right by one. Speaking of blowing things, oh, this is still the open.
It was good.
Let's do this one here. How about you ruining Trevor Bauer's name?
How dare you?
Hey, listen, sometimes you gotta block out the noise and just go out there and pitch, and it's clear apparently couldn't do it.
Wow, so now this is Trevor Bauer Power Hour's fault, not yours?
Hey, listen, he's still dealing. He's still got a shutout. Let's go get that. Don't worry about the
so now he's about to get bombed on because of what you just said right there.
Live bet.
You know what?
Back.
It ain't on me. All right.
You stay focused too, by the way, when you're about to ask a question.
Come on. Oh, I know. That is on me. God, that guy is so much cooler than that loser, Dan Orlovsky.
Oh, my God.
33 minutes into the second hour here. I don't know why you're listening. We'll get some phone calls on the other side. 1-888-MAD-DOG. This is the Pat McAfee Show, Wednesday, September 30th. Big thanks to Matt Hasselbeck. I love that man. Cheers. I was told by Del Curry, Scottie Pippen struggles on a golf course, right?
Right.
I was told at that thing that I'm going against Scottie Pippen the next day, match play, heads up, one-on-one Scottie Pippen. So we decide, like, okay, we could probably have a couple drinks, stay at the casino a little bit longer than we should.
Representing the NFL out of the Shoeless Golf Club of America, Pat McAfee. His opponent, representing the NBA, Scottie Pippen.
You know what I mean? This guy's got 6 rings. Yeah. He's a fucking Hall of Famer. But today he's going to play against me. And then I start seeing Scottie hit some shots that are just like starting to come together. And I'm like, wait a fucking minute. I think I was lied to.
We were lied to yesterday. We were told Scottie Pippen was a terrible golfer. Bro, he's Scottie fucking Pippen.
Going into the back 9, I think I was down 1. Like we were battling. But I started making putts. And Scottie Pippen went ahead and got real hot. I mean, real fucking hot. I was down 3 with 7 left. And I looked right in the camera, and I go,
"So we're down 3 with like 7 holes left. Scottie Pippen's about to get this work."
Scottie Pippen from 190 yards out just fucking dunks it. Fucking boom, bang, and then walks up to the green, gets the ball, cameras on him, and he goes, "Pippen ain't easy." Kidding me?
All right, down 4 with 6 left after Scottie Pippen just chips him from fucking 400 yards out.
I was fucking demoralized.
Pippen ain't easy.
By the way, best he's ever performed at golf, because I'm around, better teammate than Jordan.
Yep.
People forget. Oh, yeah, I told Dell, I was like, Dell, what the fuck you lying to me? He was like, well, I saw it yesterday. He was not great. And Greg Anthony told me, and I was like, Dell, he buried me, Del Curry. He buried me. He was like, hey, Pippen ain't easy.
Yes, baby, it's time to celebrate.
Talking about a shotgun of beer after he had beat me. Obviously, I like teach him how to do it.
Yeah, put a hole in there. It might spread a little bit, so. Yeah, so you're going to go here, and then you're going to open and flip up. Does that make sense? Congrats on winning the NBA a couple times, blah, 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 blah. And being an incredible golfer. Thanks, well. Cheers. Appreciate it. Hey.
Damn.
Okay,
That's the
Scotty.
best Bud Light I ever had.
Hey, there's no stuck here.
You right.
Yeah, I know, guy that just yelled in my ear. Take it easy, pal.
Goodness gracious.
I mean, Jesus. We know.
Relax.
I mean, we appreciate you counting us down for sure every single time. You do a great job. And maybe I was sprinting through the office to get back here on time, and I tried to roll a serious bumper there, but I mean, what was it, half a second?
Yeah.
Take it now. Go.
Go. Say yours, or else how are you supposed to know?
What's his name? Is this Bob? What's his name?
No, this one is Colin.
Colin.
Oh,
Colin, we
Colin.
appreciate what you do, pal. But Jesus Christ, give me a minute, maybe 10 seconds there.
Good God, calm down.
Colin, though, Colin's on top of it, which we have to appreciate and respect.
Yeah, for sure.
For those that don't know, and by the way, you just listened to what, 30 seconds there of no. Every single time we have somebody in New York counting us back down, and then we come back live. And we appreciate Colin, Bob, Joel, I believe there was one.
Joel.
All these, they're just in our ears, right? So we never met these people. They just show up in our ears, count us back in. Colin was not happy that we did not hit the mark exactly there.
Yeah. Shit himself.
Well, now that we're calling Colin out, I don't know.
I haven't heard him since. It's real quiet now.
Colin, no. Colin should be back. Colin deserves everything.
He's a good guy.
Oh, no, it's not all good.
There we go.
But it's not all good on our end. How about that? No, I'm joking. Colin, good guy. We appreciate you. And I understand his urgency. He wants us to have the best show we could possibly have, and I appreciate that.
Yes, hell yeah.
But maybe, what if I was about to cough or something and just
Sneeze.
I mean, I didn't, by the way, because I haven't got COVID. But
Hell no.
let's get to some phone calls, shall we? Let's go to Michael down there in Texas. What's going on, Michael?
What's going on? How you doing? How the boys doing?
Not too shabby. We just got chewed out by Colin in New York, but everything's okay. How are you, Michael? Knee hurts?
I'm all right.
Yeah, my knee hurts.
So what I wanted to talk about was with all the crazy stuff going on in the NFL today, people's lungs getting punctured, Carson Wentz not being able to throw the ball. Should one of these teams go out and trade for Josh Rosen, a guy who was picked 10th overall, who never really got to prove himself?
Yeah, Michael, I like that. I'll tell you what, the Josh Rosen hype machine is a big one. It really is. And I think I like the Rosen one as a person. I think I like the Rosen one as a human, as an individual. But there isn't one single person that has ever been on an NFL team with Josh Rosen who's come out and said, like, hey, he's really good. He deserves a shot. And that is, by the way, maybe they have and we just haven't heard it, or maybe they think it quietly. But nobody in the NFL has said, hey, this guy's good. Everybody at UCLA said he was good. Whenever he's getting scouted and goes to the Cardinals or whatever, they say he's good. But nobody that's ever been a teammate of his has come out and said, you know what? This Josh Rosen guy's getting screwed, okay? He's a victim of circumstance. Everywhere he goes, they tend to draft another quarterback to get him out of town. Like, nobody has come out and said that he's been a victim of circumstance, aside from media members who have said that he deserves another shot, he deserves another shot, he deserves another shot. So I don't know anything about Josh Rosen. I've never been on a team with him. I've never met him personally. I would assume that I'd like him as a person just from some of the stories that I've seen kind of linger out, the legendary stories that have lingered out. But it is alarming to me that you've heard 0 of his teammates come out and say, like, this guy deserves a shot somewhere. And maybe they're not doing it because the media says it, but it does feel like everywhere he's gone, you haven't really heard much chatter about him being, the next thing in football.
Yeah, and you would think, well, obviously Arizona would have kept him if they invested a first-round pick if they thought he was worth anything. And then in Miami, he got a shot. And
he played 3 games. He stunk.
Oh, Nuke. Gumpy. True. Okay, so that's our Canadian friend Gumpy. He is a diehard Dolphins fan somehow. You got a chance to watch the Rosen one, and you said he stunk, but did everybody stink at that time in Miami?
Yes.
Fitzmagic didn't stink at the end of the year.
Well, that's Fitzmagic.
Yeah,
Hall of Fame
quarterback. Dude, Hall of Fame quarterback.
But I do think we should take into account that when it's only the media talking about somebody, and you never hear like teammates or coaches talking about, that means a lot to me personally as somebody who has been in the locker room, and you'll hear people go to bat for people and everything like that. You don't really hear that with the Rosen one. And I don't know if it just kind of gets drowned out by all the media hyping that there needs to be a Rosen move or whatever, but I haven't heard anybody talk about it.
Well, how many people went to his birthday party? That's all I want to know.
Yeah.
Not a lot.
I would assume a lot did. The guy had a hot tub in his
dorm room.
But yeah,
I would assume he was very... I'm assuming he's very well
liked. He needed
liked.
that to have friends.
Yeah, no one else was in the jacuzzi.
Hey, whatever you got to do.
What a loser.
Listen, if a guy has a hot tub in his dorm room, I would assume I would want to be friends with that guy. Just because if that's one of the decisions he's making, think about other decisions.
Definitely a good decision maker.
You know what I mean? Well, we don't know that.
Now with football.
Nobody has come out and said that he is a good decision maker. So I don't know. I don't think we know enough about the Rosen one, aside from the media people saying that he deserves another chance. You don't hear a lot of teammates or anything else.
No, and at this point, I mean, is he going to get a realistic shot to start?
Dwayne Johnson. Dwayne Johnson's league, I think, would be a good place.
There you go. Yeah.
Is he the Rosen one of Dwayne Johnson's league? That's really his destiny.
By the way, maybe it's comeback tour too. PJ Walker did it down there, went down there, got signed back to the Carolina Panthers. Maybe the Rosen one will get an opportunity to lead a Dwayne Johnson squad. Maybe he wins one, gets called back up, gets another opportunity. But I do think it is alarming that you don't hear a lot of people talking about him. Let's go to Luke in Los Angeles. Luke, what's going on? How's the traffic, by the way? Is there traffic in Los Angeles? Because nobody's allowed out of the house in California, right?
That's funny you asked that. They just are voting today about extending street sweeping regulations or not, and the city is voting to not do it potentially because they're losing like $100 million in parking tickets.
Dirty ass streets.
Jeez Louise.
Good God.
Hey, good luck over there. Hey, the weather's great.
Thanks.
The weather's great.
Yeah,
though.
it is.
So keep that in
You
mind.
know, we're on fire, but outside of that, I suppose it's great.
T's and P's. Stay safe over there. We appreciate everybody over in Los Angeles. I have some friends that have moved over there. They have since moved out because they said it was miserable. But everybody else, we appreciate what you got going on. Stay safe, please. We talked to Pereira yesterday. Trees were getting cut down, potentially on fire. So real problem over there.
Yeah.
What do you want to talk about, brother?
Well, first off, I am myself recovering from COVID, and I got to say, I feel like it's going to be such a disaster for these teams that are going through it, because you really don't know how bad the symptoms are when you do get it. So, for these offensive linemen and these guys that are, technically, I guess, categorically obese, even though they're
come
athletes.
on.
I mean, if you just go by BMI. Man, if those guys are going to get the lung version of it, it's going to take them so long to get back into action.
Sorry, Zito got offended that you just body shamed some offensive linemen there because he is in the trenches.
No, I mean,
they're all like it.
I mean, you saw Schleris. That's what I would like to look like that someday. But
Same.
Luke, sorry you got COVID. And I guess there is different strains that people get. Like Luke obviously got a tough one. Very sorry for Luke. We thank you for listening, calling, watching, and appreciate the hell out of you. But I don't know if every human that's got it, because Von Miller came out and said it was tough.
Yeah.
Von Miller said he had a bad one. And then there's people that come out and say they had no symptoms at all. And then there's people who have passed away from this. So I think there is obviously different levels. But if it is one of those ones that people struggle with afterwards, the lungs, by the way, pretty massive part of a professional athlete, including football. That could be a bit difficult.
Von Miller had asthma too, right? So isn't that if any of those offensive linemen have asthma, it's going to be brutal.
By the way, I would like to talk about, I think I was asthmatic and never got
I think you
can
go get diagnosed.
Well, now is not the time whenever I'm just getting my ass chewed out for being tired during sprints. And I'm like, I think I have asthma. And they're like, where's the doctor's script? And I'm like,
Never been.
It's undiagnosed, dude. I don't go to the doctor. I'm tough.
Those fresh air things are awesome too. Just a nice breath of fresh air.
Oh, I know. I had friends that had them. I was so jealous.
Fresh air things.
They come out and
Nebulizer. Albuterol.
There it is.
It's good.
I
You
have
have
asthma?
asthma?
I do, yeah.
Documented.
Yes, documented.
You got to watch yourself with this COVID because I've heard the asthma people really get it.
Well, that's why when I had my scare earlier, many, many months ago, I was kind of nervous.
You did quarantine yourself for 72 hours.
I did, just to be safe. Didn't have it. But,
and you got tested. And you always, I think, what is it? The smell and taste thing.
That's a big thing now.
And I have some friends, by the way, who are assholes that got COVID and they lost the taste and smell thing. And they just started doing shots of tequila because they said it was the first time they could really enjoy it.
Silver lining.
Yeah, so they just slammed a bottle of tequila. And then,
Also, you could lose probably a bunch of weight because even good food's not going to taste good.
well, and you're going to puke. So
True.
I mean, we're not a silver lining show at all. Just
but
all the advantages of losing your taste and smell we just rattled off there. I don't think there's many other advantages.
No, definitely not.
Let's go to Ethan in Indiana. What's going on, Ethan?
Hey, Pat, how you doing? Thanks for having me.
Oh, no problem. Thanks for calling in, Ethan.
Yeah, I'm just calling because, the Jets are an absolutely awful team, and we've been talking a lot about postponing games. I was wondering, should the Jets postpone their season, falsify some COVID tests, and get Trevor Lawrence?
Oh, falsify some COVID tests, because there are false positives, false negatives, and everything like that. If the Jets were to cook up a scheme where, let's just say, 30 players every single week would end up on the COVID positive test list, would the NFL just have to rule them as a completely defeated team, awarding them pick number one? And then if you get pick number one, you have Sam Darnold, you've already ruined his career. Do you decide to ruin Trevor Lawrence's as well?
Yeah.
That is a very interesting question. And maybe something we will see with how bad these Jets are as a real possibility, because let's say they win one game. Let's say they win tomorrow. Okay, Gase sticks around. What's that mean? Well, our team's probably not going to be good. You lose a couple more games. He wins another one. Okay, then you lose a couple more games. He wins another one. I think 3-win team, 3-win team is probably going to get number one overall pick this year with how bad some teams have been. It's very difficult to go in 16. That's why you got to give credit to Orlovsky and those boys up there in Detroit and being able to pull that off, and in Cleveland being able to pull it off. I was on a team that everybody thought was potentially going to go in 16. And even we fucked around and won 2 games at the end, and we were a bad team. We had like fifth stringers playing football, a lot of good guys, but it was just next level. It's very hard to lose every single game, but if anybody could do it this year, a lot of people are saying it's the Jets. But I think they'll win a game sporadically, keep Gase around, and then after the season they're going to be like, well, we'll give Gase one more shot with this. And then do you roll the dice of him ruining somebody else's career after Tannehill's is dead and Sam Darnold seems to be dead?
Yep.
Do you roll the dice one more time with a top 3 pick and do it again?
Speaking of the Jets and Adam Gase, and Hasselbeck brought up a good point, and I've always thought the same thing. Like, what is it? And why is it that these OCs who fail somewhere, they just get recycled as an OC some other place? Like, they never take a shot on a new offense coordinator. Like Chan Gailey in Miami, sure, he's been an OC for like 37 years.
Well, he's been there, done that. So he knows how to put together a game plan. He knows how to run practices. He knows how to run meetings, like all those things. That's why I think like former general managers get another shot at general managing, because you've done it before. So you know how to set up the building. You know how to do all that stuff. Head coaches who have been head coaches before, they understand how they got to be the CEO of a business, whether it's planning travel and everything like that. Everything that gets added to the workload whenever you become a head coach or a GM or an offense coordinator. Some people have lived through it before, so I assume some people who are hiring are like, okay, let's get somebody who at least knows what the job is calling for. Even if they haven't had success, they've had success in dealing with all the other bullshit. Now, when you think about it, though, McVay, Cliff Kingsbury, Stefanski, Zach Taylor over there, LaFleur, there has been an uptick because of Sean McVay in younger names getting the opportunity, but who has been able to handle all the off-field shit is probably the biggest question mark when it comes to that. I don't like the recycling.
The devil you know.
Exactly.
The devil you know.
Instead of the
devil you don't know.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I forget the actual.
Yeah, that's it, right?
No,
Devil Wears Prada.
I think
The
it's
devil you know is better than the devil you don't.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, and also along those lines is it's better for everybody to assume you're stupid than to open your mouth and confirm that you're a dumbass.
Yeah. Yes.
Which right?
Tito.
Don't make an ass out of you and me.
Well, that's assuming things, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, you missed the entire first half of that, but it wasn't bad. Let's go to Pepe in New Mexico. What's going on, Pepe?
Got the theme,
Big theme.
¿Qué onda, Pato? ¿Cómo estás, mi amigo?
Muy bien, muy bien. You?
I'm doing good, friend. I have a public service announcement and a quick question for you. So you have said this is the dumbest show there is, but au contraire, this show is changing lives from truckers, first responders, military service people. Chris Long says that he was fun when he called you. And Aaron Rodgers, even the GOAT, said that he's looking forward for this weekly participation. So Mad Dog fan, because the McAfee Mafia is not going on anywhere.
No!
Hell yeah!
We, in all the other languages you use there in the middle of that thing, we appreciate the hell out of you, Pepe.
Let's go. So my question to you is, with all of the cases we have seen with the COVID-19 and in the NFL, let's say the NFL does an NFL bubble. If you were asked to go, what would be your survival kit? I mean, vitamins, porn magazines, books? Nah.
Great question, Pepe. And I don't even know if porn magazines exist. I don't think so.
The pages get sticky.
For me, I think the big thing would be the vitamin. I would have to get it in there, especially if it's going to be locked down. I think you would see me going in with a rather large bag. It'd be 2 bags, I think. I think for me, that would really all be it, because you have internet in there, I'd assume, so you'd be able to keep in contact. I would like to obviously be able to hang out with my wife at some point, so I think that would have to be somewhere in there. I would like to be able to see her.
Suitcase.
Maybe, she's small, by the way. Maybe I roll in vitamins in one bag, okay? Sam in the other, and then I'm Johnny Depp through the airport while Black Betty's playing. And I'm just walking in, and I'm just walking right by it, and maybe, just for fun, the Sam one rolls a little bit. Just so there's like a whoops. And so when we get over, so I have to have that interaction with her. I'm like, oh, I'm so sorry. There was there's a log that just popped up, and you rode over there. That'd be fun. But I think those would be the only 2. If the NFL goes into a bubble, though, that would have to be the largest bubble ever created.
Can't be done.
That would have to be a city created in the desert that they would have to just make, which isn't a bad idea, by the way.
Maybe do it on the moon.
What's that?
Maybe do it on the moon.
Well,
I don't know the football.
Do I want to get into that? There's a new movie coming out about aliens and stuff, and I know Joe Rogan's got a monopoly on talking about aliens and stuff like that on YouTube.
Yep.
If you read any of the comments while we had an Aaron Rodgers conversation yesterday about him seeing an orange thing in the sky, then 3 fighter jets, and having an extraterrestrial encounter, he believes.
Oh, we're not allowed to talk about it?
No. Comments, Joe Rogan. Joe Rogan's the only guy that's allowed to talk about aliens. Which, by the way, I've listened to a lot of Joe Rogan's aliens talk, and Lazar, and I appreciate him for doing that. But yeah, in the YouTube world, only Joe Rogan's allowed to talk about aliens, I'm learning. Which, by the way, we're new here. I mean, we're about to be 1 million subscribers or whatever, just talking about sports, not doing anything outrageous or stupid. But I understand that only one, you got to kind of stay in your own lane.
Leave Rogan.
That's interesting.
You guys are going to be pissed, though, because there's a new alien documentary coming out called The Phenomenon, I believe.
Yep.
And I guess the guy that made the movie is a fan of the show. We're getting an early watch and probably a conversation with the guy. So that is going to happen, I believe, and I'm pumped up about. But boy, ever since I was a child, and it was before I even took vitamins, I would stare up at the sky and just hope one day that I'd see something awesome so I could tell the story about it. I think if you watch this Phenomenon movie that's coming out, documentary coming out, and the CE5, Close Encounters of the Fifth Kind or whatever, I believe they tell you how you can find the aliens.
I saw one last night, I'm pretty sure.
Come on.
I saw.
See, you're making a mockery.
No, I'm not.
You're mocking.
Exactly. Can I fucking explain?
Tony, just shut up.
Tony, this is
Tony, we don't need your bullshit.
Before the guard dog lemmings jump in here, can I at least
Oh, you son of
We
a
love aliens, Tony.
I mean, I
Don't
saw
mock
a
them.
shooting star. When's the last time you've seen a star with an engine and it could go that fast? Okay.
Bingo. Diggs, I'll tell you what, you kind of just made a mockery out of the whole thing, which is why YouTube says we're not allowed to talk about it, only Joe Rogan's allowed to talk about it. But I would like you to maybe have a little bit more respect. The Pentagon has released a bunch of videos saying it's real.
Shooting stars are aliens.
And by the way, I guess there's Senator Harry Reid. I watched the trailer for this Phenomenon thing. He said, there's so much more documents and footage that have not been released yet.
Yes.
We're getting a sneak peek at this documentary that comes out on October 6th. Like, we're big media, no big deal. All these book writers don't send us shit, but this alien guy does. I'm so pumped for it. Speaking of... Everyone always talks about how important it is to get a good night's rest, but following that advice can be awfully difficult. That's why the folks at CBDMD created CBDPM to help you get you the rest you deserve and feel your best every single morning. CBDPM blends 500 milligrams of superior CBD with sleep-promoting ingredients like melatonin, valerian root, and chamomile to create a powerful and effective sleep aid. So whether you're up late with the kids, pets, or existential dread, you can turn to CBDPM and get the rest you need to handle anything that comes your way in the morning. I love CBDPM because I am a night owl. I do not sleep. My brain is always on. It never turns off. It's a gift and my almighty curse. CBDPM has been a droplet that I put in my mouth for the last year. Half hour later, I'm out like a light.
Like a light?
out
like a light. Right now, make it even easier to try CBD PM or any of CBDMD's premium CBD oil products. They're offering all listeners and watchers of this show 25% off your next order when you use the promo code McAfee at checkout. That's CBDMD.com. Promo code McAfee. 25% off your purchase of high-quality CBD oil products from our friends at CBDMD. Hour 3 kicks off on the other side. We have AJ Hawk joining us and more of your phone calls. It's the Pat McAfee Show, Wednesday, September 30th, 2020.
Look, I don't understand the whole legal gambling thing. I've been gambling illegally my whole life. I don't get what you mean by FanDuel Sportsbook. Dude, illegal gambling is done. It stinks. Legal gambling is the greatest thing of all time. FanDuel Sportsbook has so many good bets. They even refund bets that they think didn't deserve to lose. They got all the spreads. They got same game parlays. You have to start gambling on FanDuel Sportsbook if you're in a legal state. And that's not the only thing. They make it so easy to withdraw and deposit money. You can just link your bank, deposit whatever you want, withdraw whatever you want, whenever you want.
Yes,
I mean, this
please.
truly is the greatest sports gambling app out there.
He's right about the banking. It is the greatest, but you really don't understand the bets that this sports book has. They have in-game bets. They have in-game parlays, and he said it, but I'm going to say it again. The odds at this place are the best, and once you download FanDuel Sportsbook, we are going to take all of their money. All of their money. Right? 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 FanDuel! 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 FanDuel!
That's a lot of Connor right there. Hey, that is a lot of Connor right
Too
there.
much. That's even for me.
I want to let you know, though, great acting by you. Good messaging there out of you. Good costumes, couple quick questions. You have all Pittsburgh stuff on, but you talk like a Boston guy. That was kind of an interesting thing there. It was character 3, I believe. I do believe, with the hair.
Guy from Boston moved to Pittsburgh. I don't know what. That's like the most common character out there.
Yeah, absolutely. And just completely turns his back on Boston and just picks up everything in Pittsburgh.
Yeah. He's a homer.
Okay, so that was the character. And then the shirtless character was, which was?
Just Stooge.
Oh, just
himself. That was himself.
By the way, so we got
that was myself.
Boston to Pittsburgh guy.
Yeah.
Would love gambling at FanDuel.
Oh, yeah.
Regular Connor.
No. See, that's where you go wrong. This was actually super fan Larry Bird. That wasn't even a Celtics jersey. That was just a Larry Bird jersey.
Forrest Gump, after running across the country a few times, Connor, also great at FanDuel.
Bingo.
Yeah. Okay, and then all of them love
And just
him.
me, Stooge, also loves FanDuel.
Hey, thanks for that. It was a great commercial.
Hey, anytime.
Rave reviews, maybe winning an Emmy for that thing.
You'll see all 4 of those guys together again very soon. Don't think it's going anywhere.
Great editing there by Mr. Mansouri, by the way. And how about your acting? How about your acting going, oh, is that right? Whenever you were this guy to that guy.
Yeah.
Really. People won't talk about the method acting that you had.
Well, did you hear what he said? I mean, that was unbelievable. You can just withdraw money and deposit it that easily.
All right. We'll be back in like 2.5 minutes. I'm gonna go to the bathroom.
This is Gump from Hammer Down with some Week 4 NFL betting info for you. We've seen the over hit in 29 out of 48 games so far. So this week, there's 9 games where the over is set at over 51 points. Another thing we talk about a lot is people getting a lot of the bets. 28 and 18 against the spread are teams that are getting more than 50% of the money. That is massive. We'll be back tomorrow with some more info, some more stats, and a new episode of Hammer Down on Thursday. Cheers.
Good idea or bad idea for the spike buy?
I will never judge anything out of
I want your
spite.
thoughts.
Well, I thought you were a fucking idiot for $10,000 over what they were asking. Like that is, I thought that was very stupid. But then when you told me that people were laughing in your face, you should have won $20,000. That's what I think.
Did you know he was still in the car?
Zito was in his car?
They drove by me. And
Like they were just driving by. Like they had no idea what he was doing.
Oh, so they didn't know he was even looking at them.
No.
His windows are tinted too.
This is Jordan in that restaurant.
Yeah, exactly. George Carl.
That son of a bitch.
Chi-town, baby.
Jordan and Yazid.
That made it personal for me.
That's all I needed is what he said. He made up a fake story at a restaurant.
Yeah, yeah. They didn't even know like who Zito was.
No, they knew. They fucking knew we were up next.
They were just like, look at that fat guy walking down the street.
No, I was in my car.
Zito, that house didn't deserve you anyways, dude.
It was a nice sunroom.
I wish you would have got it just so you had to deal with a house that you didn't want.
All Zito cares about is his sunroom. That's all he cares
That's all I
about.
want.
Hey, people got their wants and needs.
The Pat McAfee Show.
Welcome back. It is Wednesday, September 30th, 2020. I hope Colin respected how quickly we came back as soon as the show started there in New York. Massive, massive day in the history of the NFL. The NFL has officially postponed a game between the Steelers and the Titans. That's massive. I don't care how you feel about said COVID, whether you think it is a massive, massive threat to society and existence, or you think the complete opposite. We're not here to talk about that because we're too stupid for that, but the NFL postponing a game because of said outbreak is massive news in the sports world, because the NFL has prided itself basically on being the, hey, we always forge the river here as if we're on the Oregon Trail, no matter what happens. Now they are feeling the effects, and I guess mandates are being tossed down from the NFL in massive fashion for everything. Mask wearing, this wearing, this wearing, this wearing. That Tennessee Titans Steelers game could be on Monday or Tuesday, they're saying. Maybe midday games. A lot of people on the internet are telling us that when this happened in the past, it was only shown locally. It wasn't a nationally syndicated game. CBS has the rights to that game on Sunday. Will CBS potentially turn that into a CBS Sports Network game if it's played during the day so that everybody can watch Monday or Tuesday if it is a daytime game? I think that'd be a good business decision. If anybody at CBS is watching this, which they're not, by the way, I think that would be cool, and they might not even be able to do that. So who knows how this whole thing plays out.
We could just illegally stream it. It's not a big deal.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Be a hell of a gouge, though.
Joining us now is a man who played a long time in the NFL, college national championship, Super Bowl champion, ladies and gentlemen, in Crimson Chin, AJ Hawk.
What's happening, fellas? Hey, what was that guy's name? I caught a little bit of the show earlier. Pepe?
Yeah, Pepe in New Mexico. Guy's a good guy. Yeah, good guy, good guy.
Yeah, great caller. Good caller. Had a lot of good stuff to say.
Oh, so you like Pepe?
I do like Pepe. Yeah, I thought that was he was a valuable caller.
Nice.
I thought you guys got excited. He seemed pretty excited.
All right, so let's talk about every other caller that you hate then.
there's
If you pick only one to like, that means you hate everybody else. We'll dive into that a little bit later there. I want your take, though, on this postponement of a game. I don't think anybody expected the NFL to do this. I think we expected COVID to reach the NFL, but the NFL actually having to move a game, whether it's due to competitive fairness or an advantage, or they think they can't get it under control or not be able to postpone it to another date. What are your thoughts on this entire Titans-Steelers situation with COVID?
Well, first off, are you really that surprised that they had to postpone a game?
I think postponing, because how they were testing everybody, okay, every single day. I thought the purpose of doing that was so that whenever it happens and you catch somebody, you can separate them from the rest of the pack, a la, outlier, a lone wolf type thing, and everybody else could continue to do their thing. So whenever that doesn't happen, whenever just 3 people get it, why are you testing everybody then? Why aren't you just testing one person in each position group? Because if 3 people are going to take down the entire team, why are you doing what you're doing? That is kind of how I felt about it. So I didn't think they were going to have to postpone a game, to be honest with you. I thought people were going to get it. They were just going to separate them from the rest of the team so that they can move forward business as usual.
Yeah, it's weird. I mean, the whole contact tracing thing is what you hear people talk about. Like, I guess they're going to go through all of the people that they were near for more than 15 minutes to test all of those people first. I don't know, because the tests too, like every test that is positive now, they're saying, oh, we're doing our due diligence to verify the test. I'm like, so you give them, 3 more tests and hope that those are the same? Or you hope that they're negative and you had a false positive? Like right now, it's just, there's so much up in the air, I feel like.
Well, and then remember there was a conversation about them keeping a lot more people in the roster pool because if guys get it, they're going to have to be out for a week or two. Now it's like if guys get it, the whole team is out. So what is the... I don't know. I think there's a lot more questions I have now that this is happening as opposed to answers that we potentially thought would come whenever this situation arrived. I'm just asking you more questions about how things were handled before. Why was a protocol put into place? If that protocol, if there's any type of positive, it's like, no, we're shutting everybody down. I'm just not 100% sure if any of it makes sense at this point.
Well, of course. Why would it make sense? Does anything make sense right now? Like, does anyone have any answers?
Bingo. People watch this show have no fucking idea why. No idea why. AJ, Aaron Rodgers yesterday was awesome.
Yeah, he was. He seemed relaxed. He seemed excited. I'm just wondering if he's ever going to call from a different location. He's always in front of that nondescript stone wall behind him. He doesn't want to give us any info. He didn't want anyone to see anything about where he lives.
It's great masonry behind him.
Yeah, incredible.
Probably some Italians out there doing it, if I had to guess.
Sure. Invented it.
Is there Italians in Green Bay?
I would doubt it, but I'm sure they taught someone to do it in Green Bay.
There is.
There's Italians in Green Bay?
Yep, I'm sure there's Italians pretty much.
No, when he says
not in Indiana,
no.
There
We're not talking about
no
one
Italian.
or two. We're talking about like over 25%.
We're talking like a community. A community.
You don't
of
have
Italian.
Little Italy days out there, I'm pretty sure.
No, Little Italy days in Pittsburgh, though. You got to keep your head on a swivel down there if you are of a pale skin breed.
Don't.
What's that?
Don't start.
Come on.
Is he lying?
He's not.
Am I lying?
Yes.
Oh, my red face walks through Italian days, and you're saying there isn't just a mad, immediate judgment casted over me?
Might not be your face, maybe it's your mouth.
Oh,
okay.
Oh, so now it's my lips, you say. I ain't that interested. I'll tell you what, these lips have funded a lot of Italians with the amount of pizza that I ate growing up, and I get no respect from the entire culture over
A little
there.
respect around here.
A little respect around here. Anyways, now that we got off of that, we have to talk about a phone call because I have no idea. Do you have something you prevalent would like to talk about right now?
Oh no, you can go to the caller. I thought you were trying to get to a caller before you took a detour on something about Italians that I'm still confused about.
Well, you're talking about masonry. See, this is how I know there isn't a lot of Italians in Columbus either.
No idea.
So that is because I know that you don't even know what we're talking.
There's actually a lot of Italians around Columbus. Yeah.
Why don't you try to talk to them?
Talk to one.
Yeah. Say hello.
Yeah, I do all the time. I
bet.
Oh,
Now you do.
Yeah. AJ Hawk's like, you look Italian. Why don't you go ahead and get your little ass? I'm not saying what he probably said.
Whoa.
Out of here. What were you going to say, Connor?
Yeah, AJ, yesterday there was moments during that Aaron Rodgers interview.
Hold on, Connor. What was that, Nick? Your head shaking back there? Is everything okay? Mr. Nick Maroldo, is everything all right back there?
Just move on. Get to the caller, please.
Oh, Tone DeGilio, you got a problem with this?
Nah, I mean, it's expected from you too. It's just really
Me? I didn't do anything.
What the hell is going on?
It's AJ.
What just happened?
The Italians do not deserve this, okay? The Italians brought a lot of great things into this world.
Great people.
AJ, do you know what the Italians brought to America?
No, can you tell me?
Yeah, everything good.
Yeah.
Basically.
They named America
Have you heard
America.
of Buca de Beppo?
Those cigars that you smoke?
Probably from Cuba. What do you got, Connor?
AJ, yeah, yesterday there was a moment during that Aaron Rodgers interview where you kind of interrupted Pat. You put your hands up on the screen. You and Rodgers were communicating somehow.
Yeah.
What was that all about?
Oh, what?
Well, it was because Pat made a reference to Robin Williams, and I've called Aaron Robin for 10 or 11 years now because of how hairy his knuckles are. Give him a little message. Hey, here's your time. Jump in. We always like to give some good pub to Robin Williams and his estate, and let everybody know how amazing he was. And I always tell Aaron, it's so nice of you to carry on the tradition of Robin with growing your knuckle and hand hair out.
So is Aaron just incredibly hairy? I did not know that. I guess I should have guessed with his facial hair being as dominant as it is that the rest of his body probably looked like a bear.
Like a
I had no
werewolf.
idea.
I mean, yeah, it's just a joke. I used to joke with him like, man, you're already like one of the best quarterbacks ever to live. Can you imagine how good you'd be if you just shaved that right hand? I was like, you're probably picking up so much friction when you're trying to zing that thing out there with all that hair catching the wind.
Let's go to Cody in Ohio. What's going on, Cody? No Italians out there. I feel bad for you.
Not.
Hey, how's it going?
Not too shabby, Cody. What do you want to talk about, bub?
Yeah, I was wondering, what do you think about if the Browns were to bring in Kaepernick and run a triple threat
run offense with Chubb and Hunt in the backfield.
Cody, great question. What have you been up to today, Cody? What have you been up to over there?
Oh, just doing a little fishing here and there.
Nice.
Baling some hay, feeding the chickens.
Hey, we appreciate that.
Hey, take care of your chickens.
Appreciate you, Cody. How
about the weed?
Sure feels like there's a lot of weed. But big shout out to Cody for asking that question. And the Kaepernick thing, that conversation has kind of died off this year because I think he's now entering his 5th year of being out of the NFL, which is a very long time to not be in the NFL. And we're in a very different world than whenever he first wasn't in the NFL, obviously, with a lot more, I think, from the NFL side being much more open arms to the message that Colin Kaepernick was trying to send in a protest 4 years ago. I don't know. I was very excited for that workout last year, and I was very open about that. I was very pumped about that, just strictly because if you're not in the NFL, you can't be working out as hard as you would be in the NFL. So I was pumped for that workout that the NFL and Colin Kaepernick had originally set down in Atlanta. Now that ultimately got canceled last minute and moved to a field an hour and a half away from there, and a couple scouts traveled, and he ultimately didn't get picked up. And they said it was because they didn't trust that the NFL teams they just didn't trust the NFL at that point because of the amount of friction between Colin Kaepernick and the NFL. And for me, I wish he would have done that workout. I wish he would have dominated that workout because, by the way, that would have got leaked out that he did well, or if he did bad, that would have got leaked out immediately. And now Colin Kaepernick's team was like, well, that's going to get leaked out with his spin because the NFL is controlling it. It's not being filmed publicly or whatever. I just think a lot more people would be fighting a lot harder for Colin Kaepernick if he would have just for one day just acted as if the NFL wasn't going to try to screw him over, which I can understand why he's felt that way. I don't know the behind doors conversation, and did that workout. I think a lot more people would be like, hey, Colin Kaepernick is doing everything he possibly can to get back in the league and wants to be in the league, and who knows how he's playing. But right now, I think Colin Kaepernick has done a lot more for the world than he would have if he was just an NFL quarterback. So who knows if Colin's even trying to get back in the league right now.
Well, I think one of the biggest issues he had when he originally had the workout scheduled for at Atlanta's facility, there was some waiver that they wanted him to sign, and the wording, something about the language wasn't right. He didn't feel comfortable, so yeah, he moved it. But my question for Cody, the caller, getting back to him, who's just been baling hay and feeding the chickens all day long.
Yeah.
I just wonder if you want to bring Kaepernick in, yeah, it sounds like an explosive backfield with how well the Browns run the ball. How many plays a game do you want Kaepernick? Do you want Kaepernick to be your starter? Are you going to bench Baker? Like, what kind of plans do you have for this new revamped offense you want to run?
I shouldn't have hung up on Cody because I'm sure he had a well thought out answer for that. That's on me.
Wild cap.
Ooh. Oh, that'd be very marketable too, huh?
Yeah, very.
It's quite an indictment on Baker there.
Well, Baker is a mobile quarterback. He's athletic and stuff like that, but he's not outrunning anybody. And who knows if Kaepernick's outrunning anybody right now? I think 5 years out of the game is a long time. And this is coming from somebody that just had to kick the ball. And I'm 3 years out or whatever, 4 years, however long I am now. If I went out there and tried to do, and I'm in probably the best shape, near the best shape I've ever been in. If I went out there and tried to kick balls at the rate that I would have to, I don't know if my body would be like, yeah, we're doing this. And I wonder if Kaepernick's body would be the same. He's a much better athlete than I am, but he would be asked to do a lot more than I would be asked to get back out there. I just think that's a hard thing to be away from the game that long and get back into it. But I wish we would have been able. Why couldn't the NFL just be like, yeah, we'll broadcast the workout? They do that for everybody's combines. Mm-hmm. Like, why wouldn't they just do that? And I would assume that's what Colin wanted. I don't know. Who knows? That's a situation where none of us have seen him play football at all, other than a couple highlights of him throwing a deep ball. So who knows if you're good. In those workouts, by the way, with the NFL, if you're a free agent, are not fun. Those, lot of cardio in those workouts. You are running a lot. And I wonder if that was one of the reasons why at the end he was like, I'm not going to do it. I'm going to puke all over the place. Mm-hmm. Even if he was in the best shape he could be in, those workouts, they just try to kill people. I've seen a couple of them. I'm like, golly, these dudes are dying out here.
Some teams make you time a 40.
Did you have to do that?
No, I didn't have to time a 40, but Matt Flynn was telling me he was on the Patriots for like maybe part of the spring and all of training camp one year. And I think he said when they brought him in, they're like, okay, well, here you're going to run your 40. And I think Flynn said, like, hey, I'll do anything, but like, I can't run a 40. Like, that's not happening. I'm not doing it. And I need to send him a text because I don't know if he actually ended up running it, because I don't think he would actually tell me what they really timed him at. But yeah, I was like, man, you can make a 7, 8, 9-year vets run a timed 40 when they haven't ran a timed 40 since the combine.
Isn't that very interesting, though? Because everybody mocks the importance of a 40-yard dash for a lot of people, including a quarterback would be an interesting position to have that. But the greatest coach and scout of all time, Bill Belichick, is making people run it even in year 9. That's maybe I changed my take on the 40. Maybe I'm like, yeah, it's very important.
No stone left unturned, right? They're going to their attention to detail. Like they're going to go above and beyond. I guess they want as much information as possible on every guy that's on their team.
In my head, Bill Belichick would be the last one to make him run a 40. Like before this story right here, Bill Belichick would be like, let's make him do some position running, and make it a good 7-10 miles for sure.
You got to check his running form. I mean, how else are you going to fix his running form if you don't know what it is?
They have those dudes running in those workouts so much, because it would normally happen either before practice or after practice. And I always stuck around and got extra work. As a punter kicker, you have to be out before practice anyways. So I would always see these workouts that were happening, and I would just stand there and just be like, that guy, he just ran his, 10th gasser maybe at this point. They just want to see if he's in shape, if we need you this week. And then he put him through a drill after that. And it's like, this guy's footwork is the worst. He's trying not to puke here. And it's like, hey, we'll call you back. So those guys that get on those workout circuits, they should be in the Titan games. Those guys should go do the Titan games because they're just going through hell and all those things.
Or the Watt Brothers show. They'd do well on that one, wouldn't they?
Is it Ultimate Tag?
That's still going.
Still a show?
The agility and the conditioning they build up through those workouts, they would do very well on that show.
Show is sick.
Still a show?
Oh yeah. No, if it survived.
Yeah. Did it win an Emmy?
It's the Watt Brothers.
I'm not sure. I love JJ. I don't know TJ at all, but I love the JJ. I love the Justin James one.
All savages, all of them. They're great.
They were mic'd up. They were, by the way, really cool move by the Houston Texans and the Pittsburgh Steelers to have TJ and JJ as the captain. Now, Derek, go fuck yourself. But
yeah, who cares?
You know what I mean? These two come out and dap each other up and then kind of do the whole thing. That was really, I thought that was cool. Some coaches, normally you vote on the year-long captains. You have a team vote for the year-long captains. And then weekly you have like a game captain. And if you go back to a guy's hometown or a team that a guy was on, normally they put them up as the captain or whatever for that week. Pretty cool little move there. You know what I mean? Pretty cool little move.
If you're Derek Watt, you are not happy.
Well, you pulled your hamstring because of it.
Yeah, true.
Let's go to Justin in Chicago. What's going on, Justin?
Big J.
Yeah, I bet AJ, the boys. Do you think Nick Foles is a long-term option for the Chicago Bears?
If he has success and it saves Matt Nagy and Ryan Pace's job, let's go ahead and assume that he will be for at least the next few years. I think that is a big play right here. Nagy and Pace, who knows what their job situation looks like after this year if they're not good. Now, granted, they're 3-0 right now. A lot can happen. They can keep going, keep climbing, get a lot better, or they can completely crash and burn. That is not just because they're the Bears. That's because that is real in the NFL. If Nick Foles goes on to have success for the Chicago Bears this year, I would assume Nagy and Pace are like, okay, we got our guy. This is our guy. Let's keep it moving.
Oh, no question. I mean, he absolutely can save. I wouldn't say save their job. I'm not saying Nagy's like on the hot seat. He's going to get fired. But yeah, you're going to win some games this year. You need to give some hope and show that, hey, we have a plan moving forward. And Nick Foles, when you say long-term, what does that mean? Like max long-term this season and 2 more?
He's under contract for that exact amount.
3 more years.
This one and then 2 more.
Yeah, so I think 3 years is long-term. And in the NFL, by the way, that is pretty long-term. Who knows what the world's going to look like 2 years from now? Will Kyler Murray be the best quarterback on planet Earth? Patrick Mahomes at that point will finally be getting paid some money and actually be a cap hit to the Chiefs. I mean, the world is a much different place in 2 years. So I think this year, next year is all anybody really thinks about. And if Nick Foles can win for him, I think he's definitely around next year for sure. Is Mitch Trubisky, though, as the backup?
See ya.
Nope.
Wow.
Does Mitch want to be there next year as the backup?
Yeah, would he take a backup job?
I'm really intrigued to see how this whole thing plays out this year in Chicago between those two. The quarterback position is one that has, and I know Matt Hasselbeck joined us earlier and said these two are really unselfish guys. Yeah. That position is an ego position. Like it is, you are the team. There's a reason why quarterbacks are the way they are. They've been fluffed up their entire life, and now you got two that are competing. I don't know, dude. I just don't.
Also, wouldn't it be a little bit easier to like swallow that if like the team wasn't worth the shit and they replace you? It's like, oh, okay, it's like they were undefeated and they benched his ass. It's like, hey, yeah, you haven't costed us yet, but this guy is still the guy moving forward.
Hey, you remember what you did last year? We do. Okay, so we're not going to live with that. We just brought in a guy from from the Jaguars who broke his collarbone with the Jaguars while throwing a touchdown. He gets released for Minshew Mania. We're going to put his ass in as soon as we can. It's a very interesting situation. I do not know how it plays out. Back to the phone lines here, 1-888-MAD-DOG. Mad Dog 6. Let's go to Aaron in North Carolina. What's going on, Aaron?
What's up, Pat? How y'all doing?
Hey, not too shabby down there. North Carolina, come on and raise it. Take your shirt off.
Yes, sir.
Twist it around your head.
I got a question about my boys down at NC State. Well, right next door because I'm from Raleigh. And Dave Doran because we're playing like dog crap out there.
Yeah.
That's NC State, baby.
Let's go to Casey in Florida. What's going on, Casey?
Dude, what's with these Eagles, man?
Yeah, they stink. All right, let's go to Will in Connecticut. What's going on, Will?
Damn, Pat.
What's going on, Will? By the way, I'm on a heater right now. I would
keep it going, Will. Keep it going.
Luck.
I am in a groove right now.
Hello.
Live bullets here.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, you sound good. What do you want to talk about, Will, up there in Connecticut?
First, Boston County, you're a stooge. New England does not want you. Change your name to Midwest Stooge.
Saw that.
Number 2, Hammer Down is the best show. I wanted to say thanks to Tone for making me rich.
Attaboy,
and Zito, what's your favorite pizza in Chicago? Giordano's or Lou Malnati's?
Hey, give me Giordano's right now.
Yeah, that's the worst pizza I've ever had in my entire life.
You actually said you liked the pizza there.
No, it was the lasagna pizza that y'all motherfuckers are
Deep
pushing
dish.
out as pizza. That is
You like
not,
thin, though?
The thin crust from Giordano's, maybe the best pizza I've had in a long.
So technically, you like Giordano's pizza.
Yeah, but not what you guys are pushing, which is the Chicago
No, I
style
push all
bullshit.
kinds of pizza.
No, you did.
I'm
Did
not pizza biased.
You push the
I'm not
lasagna.
pizza biased.
Yeah, you are.
Yeah, you are.
I love
Anyways,
all kinds of pizza.
if you're a human that doesn't live in Chicago and has been force-fed this lasagna shit pizza
Deep
for
dish.
your entire life, deep dish pizza,
Thank you.
the thin crust at Giordano's is unbelievable pizza. It is very, very good pizza. So I would see how if you like that pizza that isn't actually pizza, it's like a soup of pizza with dough wrapped around it. I could see how you would like Giordano's the most because the dough is incredible.
Good dough.
But the thin crust is very, very good. Let's go back to Hammer Down, though. He said thanks to Tone for getting him rich.
You just lost Chicago.
Well, me and Gumpy have the highest records. We've been making people rich, not
Whoa.
I see what you just did there. You just lost
That's
the left.
good.
Yeah, I heard that.
That's good.
By the way, Chicago, beautiful place.
Love that.
I love it.
Love it, Shitty.
I love
Pizza
the beans.
stands, but
The thin crust pizza is just the best pizza that Giordano's has.
it should just be their pizza.
But when it comes
you
to,
sell Don over there.
when it comes to Hammer Down, though, which is our gambling podcast every Monday, Thursday, Friday, 3:30 at youtube.com/the Pat McAfee Show. Tone Diggs is the host. Michael Lombardi, former GM, is on there, and then it's me and Gumpy. Okay, and me and Gumpy sit on the desk next to each other, and I think we're the only ones with a winning record at this point.
Well, that's not true.
Clean
but
it up.
you do.
I mean, the only guys that had the balls to make a pick on Monday night.
Bingo.
Whoa.
I just want to say this. Me and Gumpy are a tag team in this gambling road right now, and we are hot, AJ. AJ, we are hot right now.
I knew that was coming. That's why I was pissed he even brought it up.
Yeah. Well, thanks to Tone for making me rich. It's like, well, you're fucking welcome for answering your call, asshole, and for giving you every single win.
What'd I say about Connecticut?
Let's go to Anthony in New York. What's going on, Anthony?
Hey, what's up, buddy? I'm a former West Virginia grad. I was there when you were there. Loved you there, obviously. Loved your whole career. And glad that I'm hearing you on Sirius XM right now. My question is, how far do you think Cam Newton could bring the Patriots this year?
I honestly believe they are a contender, strictly because they have Bill Belichick and Cam Newton. CBS crew is being told Steelers-Titans will be Monday night. We have breaking news here. Paul Kuharski, who is an NFL reporter down in Nashville, Tennessee, at Paul Kuharski NFL. I think I've done some stuff. Guy has a great personality. He just tweeted out 2:21, 3 minutes ago. The CBS crew is being told Steelers-Titans will be Monday night. So will CBS have a Monday Night Football game, or will this be a regionalized local game? I would assume, is CBS going to compete against ESPN for Monday Night Football? Are we going to have dueling Monday Night Footballs?
This.
And are they going to put Tony Romo and Jim Nantz on Monday Night Football over CBS for the Titans-Steelers game? This is awesome for football fans. Congrats to the Titans getting their COVID outbreak under control enough to be able to have this game on Monday as opposed to on Tuesday or later on down the season. Let's have a game on Monday night. We have 2 games. I'm pumped for it, AJ Hawk.
Well, I just wonder if there's anything that ESPN has in place, like in their contract, that there can't be a competing NFL game. I'm sure COVID changes a lot of the rules where they have to understand and give some leeway. But, ESPN doesn't want CBS putting a Monday night game against them, especially if it's on big CBS and not like the CBS Sports channel or CBS Sports app.
Well, and also, if you think about what ESPN is, they're going through a new broadcasting crew. They had the simulcast or megacast on alongside it, last week or 2 weeks ago. If CBS was just to drop Jim Nantz and Tony Romo on a Monday night Steelers-Titans game, by the way, which is a big, Pittsburgh Steelers is always a draw, and the Titans are a damn good football team. That is a massive game. I hope we can watch it somehow, but in the past, it has not been something that has been national. It has always been regional. And I think this year, could it be different because force majeure with the COVID-19 and they postponed the game? Maybe, who knows?
425 CBS game on Sunday is New England at KC. I assume Nance and Romo are on that if they can make the flight from KC down in Tennessee right after.
So they would have to get on a private plane.
I mean, if they can make it, they're absolutely flying private. They can make it.
Yeah, but the quarantine, I think the quarantine rules would have to be the thing.
Pandemic,
what?
AJ.
They're not. You think Tony's getting there 4 days before in quarantine in each city?
No, at least a day, though, I'd assume. Don't you think?
No, he's flying in private, doing the game, and getting out of there.
That doesn't seem safe.
That's what Tony Romo's doing right now? What a fucking life.
Idea. I would assume that's what he's doing. Yeah, why, he's not going in and quarantining in each city.
By the way, every time they shoot up there, Jim Nantz has a full. Jim Nantz is doing this entire lean thing, and then Tony Romo's just sitting over there. I mean, they seem like they just are the most chill group out of anybody, and they do a hell of a job.
Unfortunately, they are going up against the best quarterback in the NFL, Aaron Rodgers, on Monday Night Football. So it's going to be hard not to, Packers, Falcons then.
A lot of points in that one.
Yeah.
Oh, also, the Falcons probably dead at halftime, right? That bird probably crashes.
Well, unless they're up, because then you got to watch them blow the lead.
Ty, why do you not have a good feeling? Because the Green Bay Packers defense?
No, not a bad feeling in terms of them losing, but I think, their defense could be susceptible. But, Matt Ryan will have a great first half, and then they'll hopefully end up beating them by, 3-4 scores.
We got to get to a break. We'll answer more calls on the other side. That's big breaking news.
Huge.
Steelers-Titans postponed from Sunday at 1 to Monday at 8:30. This is good for the players, though, because it doesn't change up the routine too much. Once you get into Tuesday or Wednesday, now you're talking about a different game now. Good for the NFL for figuring it out. I always wondered, why are you testing everybody and keeping them socially distant in the building? If only 3 people get it and your entire team gets wiped out, why are we even doing all this? What is even the protocol for? I would assume that once these negative tests started coming back from everybody else and the building got cleaned out, they were like, okay, we can actually do this and get back in there. Good for the NFL for working through this thing. A couple, obviously, obstacles and hurdles, but they figured it out. Monday night, Titans-Steelers. Is that final, I wonder? We never know. Might have different news for you on the other side. 27 minutes into hour 3 here on this Wednesday, September 30th. This is the Pat McAfee Show. McAfee and Hawk.
His top target, the burner on play 1, puts the Cougs on top.
What a start here in New Orleans, Adam. Everybody talked about De'Aaron King being a runner. The Tulane defense knew that. It almost felt like he was going to do it. Then he pulls up and drops a dime to Marquez Stevenson to start in an electrifying fashion, Matt.
The fridge, Pat, is back to punt. Ryan Wright.
I love this man. 6'3", 255. And he hits a bomb for the break. The fridge saw his team was in trouble, trotted out on the field, and hit a bomb. Yeah, and then I walked all the way through here, down here, sweating profusely, I'd assume. Up an elevator back here that will be loaded with humans. All the way down here, into here, kickoff. Let's call it football. That is absolutely magical for the brand and for Dane Roy. They had 2 returners the entire first half. They put one back there. The ball goes over his head. Perfect bounce, perfect coverage. Good for the University of Houston. student section or in a weird place, maybe a remote area, and you have my mic on, ready to roll, my mic on, ready to roll, my mic on.
The Pat McAfee Show.
Welcome back to the Pat McAfee Show on this incredible Wednesday, September 30th, 2020. Got into a great conversation before we took off there. I don't remember exactly what it was about, but I'm sure you enjoyed it somewhere. Let's go to Rick in New Jersey. Rick, what's going on?
Pat, AJ, boys, love the show. Hope you guys are doing well. Connor, fantastic promo earlier for FanDuel.
So, Connor.
Very nicely done.
A lot of Connor.
We love you, Rick!
I'm about to start up some shit here. As an Italian, I need to tell you guys, the meatball sub is a fantastic sandwich.
All right, let's go to Daniel in Florida. What's going on, Daniel?
That man was Italian.
Hey, Pat.
Fake Italian. What's going on?
He's from Jersey.
I have a quick question
I'm
about
0.09% Italian. I'm more Italian than that guy.
He is from New Jersey.
If he's pumping meatball subs, that motherfucker is not Italian.
You've seen Jersey Shore.
All right, what's going on, Daniel? Yeah, I lived in Jersey Shore at WVU.
That's what I'm saying.
You could have picked Sopranos over.
In my entire life, by the way, was Jersey Shore basically, within Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania.
The Sopranos were in Jersey.
And Rick, thanks for the call. We really appreciate it. Daniel, what's going on?
Subway has the worst meatball sub, just
That's
really quick.
true.
Oh, there you go. We're not talking Subway.
Every meatball sub is a terrible
We're
meatball
not
sub.
talking Subway.
Every single one of them.
Erroneous.
That's fair.
They're bad. They're shit. They're supposed to be on pasta. They're not supposed to be in a sandwich. Anyways, what do you want to talk about, bub?
I want to talk about punting for a second.
Oh, I like this. This is not shit.
On your 74-yard punt, I feel it got down too early.
Bingo.
What is with people downing punts too early?
Well, I'll tell you what. You'd rather down it at the 3 than to roll in there and be a touchback, because then you ruin yourself out of 20 yards. I believe Matthias Farley downed that one. He was a great PP for us. I do believe we could have snuck out a yard or two and made that a 76-yarder, but it was rolling at a good pace. Would rather not have it be a touchback. AJ, when you were a punter in high school, what was your biggest ball?
Oh, I had a few bombs, but then I would have a couple where I was tired and I would yank it left into the stands, into the student section, and it would go like 10 yards.
Hey, me too. Ohio football is it comparable to Texas football now that you know a little bit about Texas high school football? Do you think that?
I mean, Texas is a different world, man. Like, Ohio has always had great football. There's like Cincinnati area is great, around the Dayton area where I grew up, and then Columbus and up like northeast Ohio is Cleveland, St. Ignatius, all these gigantic high schools that a lot of studs come from. But Texas, man, I've worked a few high school games down there. They got stadiums that seat like 60,000 people, 50,000 people for these high school games, and it's a full-blown college program, a lot of those high schools down there. So Ohio has big-time football, but I guess it's not like to the magnitude that is.
I don't want your life. A lot of people living that down in Texas. I believe they're making another Varsity Blues, by the way.
What?
Yeah, I think John Dornbos is in the movie. I learned that from him. He was on Real Sports on that HBO show with one of the Gumbles. and John Dornbos got featured again, I think for his 4th time on there, which is a record, I do believe. I watch it. Obviously, John Dornbos' story is one that people can be inspired by, and he's a magician and great long snapper and all that stuff. Just got married. I believe he is in the new Varsity Blues because he said that he is currently in the process of moving to the silver screen. Is that what it's called?
Whoa. Yeah.
Yeah. What's wrong?
John Dornbos is going to be in a fucking Varsity Blues remake.
I know. John Dornbos is like one of the most wholesome humans of all time. Varsity Blues is not that. I would assume Varsity Blues is going to get a bit
no.
Watered down.
Don't say it. I believe.
You're saying it's not going to be good, is what you're saying.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sounds like it.
All right, let's go to. I'm not saying it. Let's go to Kyler in Pittsburgh.
One of the best football movies ever made.
Ever made, by the way. And to be completely candid, I'm a little bit offended that I was not reached out to be a part of a Varsity Blues movie.
Yeah, what the hell?
I feel like that is really in my.
Oh yeah, repertoire.
I think that is.
I mean, you do magic. And you fit the part more.
All right, Kyler, what do you want to talk about, bub? I do think that is like my. What's going on, man?
Avenue.
Nothing much. So my question is,
Tweeter, dude.
Like the NFC East just total stinker right now.
Give Dorman.
I want to know what you guys think about maybe shaking up the divisions a little bit.
Ooh. Okay, great question. That would be. When was the last time it happened? Whenever they. Because, I mean, it wasn't that long ago. It was less than 2 decades ago.
Yeah, 2002, I thought.
Because the Colts were and the Steelers were in the same division.
Yeah.
And it used to be awesome. Now, it's very interesting, right? Because the NFC East, you got the Cowboys. And in the AFC South, you got the there's always a lot of conversation about who should be in what division. I think they have it figured out now, though. I feel like there's good competition, except for in the NFC East. The NFC East seems to be the one that gets the most pub every single year in the least production.
Yeah.
And the AFC East has obviously been dominated by the Patriots for a long-ass time. I don't know who you would move or how you would move them. I think you're going to need another expansion team for that to happen, for them to have to maybe make some moves. But I like the thought of some teams playing against each other twice that don't get a chance to play against each other twice. I think that'd be a cool thing.
Yeah, that'd be cool, but I think you're right. Like, they have it figured out right now. If another expansion team comes in, then you have to think about it, but I can't imagine you would want to change it right now. It's such every year you never know. Like, you think this division's going to be loaded, and then they're top to bottom not that great. So you never really know. It's going to always go back and forth, I feel like.
I like the divisions, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
I kind of like them. The only one that you got to think about is they're probably going to get a team in San Antonio, right? I mean, everybody was pushing for San Antonio. Now, Los Angeles used to be the city that every owner would threaten to move their team to if the state wouldn't help them build a new stadium. They would just go and say, we're going to go to Los Angeles. And then whenever the Raiders were looking to move because they didn't know if they could get the Vegas Stadium done, everybody's like, oh, they're either going back to Oakland, which would have been wild to watch, or potentially San Antonio, or maybe one of these. So I think there are potential, like maybe an expansion team within the next 10 years, but that's a massive move to make by the NFL, because then you got the draft to draft players from other teams that are eligible from other teams, and that's quite a shakeup. That is a massive move in the NFL that would have to be made to do that.
Yeah, 2002 when the Texans came in the league was the last time that the divisions were realigned.
I think Bezos, if he was just to start a team, which he wouldn't even know. By the way, his bank account wouldn't even know if he was to build a stadium from scratch, a city from scratch, and then start his own team, maybe even country, and compete in the Olympics if he wants. I don't even think his bank account would know. I don't know how they create an expansion team, but something would have to happen there.
Maybe his ex-wife could definitely create an expansion team.
You give Canada a team, you know?
I think Canada deserves a team before Europe deserves a team.
For sure, for sure.
I think Canada deserves, and I think the Toronto Raptors last year winning it all was a great showcase of if a Canada team does well, what could happen behind it. I think Canada already has a great fan base, obviously. Canada has more than enough facilities to facilitate a team. We have good relationships with them in traveling in every single other sport. The taxes are absurd, absolutely absurd. So that would have to be something I assume the players would figure out. But I think Canada deserves a team before any other foreign country deserves a team. But who knows if the NFL wants to dabble in those waters either.
Well, don't you think, I bet Roger Goodell and his guys, like, I'm sure they have plans. They've explored every corner of the earth of where they could possibly put an expansion team at some point. You know they want to grow. That's his whole thing, is continue to make money, continue to each franchise is worth more and more every single year. And so the way to do that is to grow the game to areas where it's not really prominent. So I'm sure they have all these plans in place. I just don't know how it happens and when we get another expansion team.
And obviously, they want to go to Europe before they want to go to Canada because the NFL is already big in Canada. It's close enough. You go to Europe, it kind of gives somebody, maybe new fans something to latch onto because whenever you play in England or London, I played over there, it's just like an American sports celebration. You got people coming over in baseball jerseys to the game. You got people in basketball jerseys. It's like, oh, American sports here. Now, obviously, there's a lot of Americans that are over there, the military or work. They all come as well because it's a little taste of home, and maybe some teams have some fans that have traveled over there. But it's just like an American sports celebration as opposed to just a game. Good question there. I mean, it led to a good conversation, so that's all that matters. Let's go to Andrew in Chicago. Giordano's thin crust pizza, best pizza I've ever had. That Chicago-style pizza, though, could definitely do with
No, I think Giordano's has a good barbecue chicken pizza if you think about trying that one out. But
barbecue
that one's
chicken.
interesting.
You hear this guy?
Barbecue
Really,
chicken
can you hear me?
pizza.
Shitting me?
That's not a pizza.
Barbecue chicken pizza.
Why don't you just eat?
Yeah, it's actually pretty good. But I don't know if they all have it. But
Some onions on it, too.
Respect.
Really good.
Okay. Andrew, what do you want to talk about, bub?
Pizza thing.
Yeah, so the lock of the year this year is that 2020 is going to continue to be a total shit show, where up is down, down is up. Now, there is nothing more 2020 in my mind than a Bears Super Bowl and a Cubs Sox World Series with no Chicago fans in the stands. So lock it down, 2020, total shit show, Bears Super Bowl, Cubs Sox Crosstown Classic in the World Series with no fans allowed in the stand.
And Cup done.
So when things like that are said, it's very interesting because the Bears are 3-0, and nobody's even talking about them potentially being a Super Bowl contender, other than people in Chicago because they are super excited that they have a team again. Just a couple years ago, they were in the playoffs, and I don't think even then they were getting the respect that they could potentially go on a run. Block kick happens, they're gone forever. Last year, they stink. Here we are now. It's very interesting to see where they at. And ESPN put out their power rankings, AJ. I'd like to see your reactions alongside me here. The Chicago Bears are not given a lot of respect for being a 3-0 team, by the way. They're ranked 14th overall, and I would assume that everybody that watches the NFL would say, yeah, that's probably about where they should be. Even though they're 3-0, Nick Foles came in and had a big comeback win. They are currently ranked at 14. Number 1, you got the Kansas City Chiefs. 2, Baltimore Ravens. 3, the Ospreys. And 4, the Green Bay Packers. At 5, you have the Buffalo Bills. How do you feel about the top 5 there, AJ?
I think it's all right. I would, I don't know. Would you put Green Bay above Baltimore right now?
Well, if you only judge Baltimore for how they played against the best team in football, the Kansas City Chiefs, I think that would be a little bit difficult. I think the top 5 there, all right, I'll say the top 5, I almost went with the top 4, but I don't believe that is fair to the Bills Mafia. I believe those top 5 are 2 to 5. They're pretty interchangeable right behind the Kansas City Chiefs. We don't know how that's going to play off. It all depends on whose defense shows up, what quarterback can play at the right time. Josh Allen obviously having an incredible year as compared to his years in the past. Aaron Rodgers, best quarterback in football right now. Russell Wilson's playing very good football. And obviously Lamar Jackson had an off night the other night. They kind of went away from the run. They need to stick with that, I think, because that's what makes them very, very special. Then you have at 6 the Titans who are battling COVID. Then the Pittsburgh Steelers at 7. That's a Monday Night Football game. Los Angeles Rams at 8. Patriots 9. Saints at 10. That's the top 10 right there. How do you feel about 5 through 10, AJ Hawk?
So the Steelers are another team, and maybe I'm just not in that Pittsburgh bubble like you guys that you guys travel with it. Does it feel like they're flying under the radar?
Yes.
For what they've done early this season?
Yes, and Mike Greenberg has been banging the drum very hard that everybody talks about the Chiefs and the Ravens. The Pittsburgh Steelers deserve to be talked about because last year, the same defense that they have right now almost carried them to a playoff berth. And we are not in a league anymore where the defense can just carry a team to the playoffs. I guess people can say that the Patriots did that last year with their special teams and defense. They still had Tom Brady at quarterback. Last year, the Steelers, with no offense, basically, that defense almost got them. Same defense is there. Now you have a healthy Juju, healthy James Conner, and a healthy Ben Roethlisberger. I think it is a conversation piece for like, hey, the Steelers are a legit team this year. I think them sitting at 7, Steelers fans are probably pissed off. I'd assume Tomlin doesn't even know that they're at 7th, but they probably deserve to be a little bit higher if I had to guess.
They do, and if you're a Steelers fan or you're a fan of any of these teams and you're pissed off about where you're ranked, just know something that none of this matters and nobody knows anything.
Yeah,
like, these are just to talk about.
Yeah, take it. It's strictly for shows like this one to have something to react to because on Wednesdays there's nothing to talk about. So do not get your emotions or panties in a bunch. This does not mean a damn thing.
But if you're in New York, think about switching teams and trying to find a new team to root for because 31-32 is pretty tough.
Jets and Giants are 31-32. Obviously, Jets being the worst team. Then the Bengals there, who almost lost their quarterback's head this past week whenever they tied the Philadelphia Eagles. Panthers are at 29. I'd assume Matt Rule did not expect that when he decided to kick Cam Newton out of town and sign Teddy Bridgewater. That's a wild look for them. Christian McCaffrey's hurt. Obviously, the power rankers saw that as quite a detriment to the squad.
Big win this week.
Yeah, they did. I guess. I know it's 28 and 29 we're arguing over. I would put them above the Broncos right now.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
I think so too. The Broncos playing Thursday night. They got a guy named Ripien playing. And then 27, you have the Jacksonville Jaguars. They got a big win over the Colts early, but it feels like they're potentially finding their water, which is at the bottom of the division. Atlanta Falcons at 26. That team could be undefeated right now, but instead they're the Atlanta Falcons.
Yep.
Yeah, that's what. Ty, are you scared for this Falcons-Packers matchup? Because if the Falcons could find a way to stumble into a win, it would turn their season around?
No, I mean, I just think that.
Oh, I thought you just said you were nervous about it.
Well, no, I am, but it's because historically the Falcons throw all over the Packers. Julio Jones, I don't know if he's going to play or not, but you just hope the Falcons can score a lot of points. Their defense is obviously fucking trash, but I don't know. You just worry that the Packers have to play another perfect game because they're going to have to score a lot of points to win.
Dan Quinn is definitely on a hot seat, too. So how will his players respond? And then let's go to the middle of the pack there. The 49ers at 11. Their entire team was hurt, and the fourth stringers beat the Giants by 27 points. That has to feel good if you're a Niners fan for your depth going forward. Tampa Bay Q Gronkaneers are at 12. Arizona Cardinals, who had a bad game, and it felt like Kyler Murray was not the same Kyler Murray we saw the first couple weeks. Well, that Kyler Murray who shows up, doesn't show up, shows up, doesn't show up. Will that continue, or is this just one little blimp and he's back to playing MVP-style NFL football? Who knows? Chicago Bears right there at 14 at undefeated 14 seed. 15, the Raiders. 16, the Colts. Cowboys at 17. Cleveland Brownies at 18. They could potentially turn the corner. 19, the Chargers. 20, Texans. Vikings, Eagles, Lions, Dolphins, Washington. It rounds out the rest of the list. Very intriguing here. None of this means a damn thing because teams can get hot at different times, but it sure does feel like there's about 5 to 6 teams that are already dead, and that's really all that matters here.
It does. I would even drop the Vikings down a little bit. They're at 21. Wouldn't you drop them down to 24, 25?
They have not looked great, but they could potentially open it up. They looked good in like the first half of this game this past weekend.
They've looked good in spurts. Yeah, you're right. But for the most part, like there's been times in every game that they've played where I'm like, man, this team. I always think the same thing, too, though. Oh, they can turn around Mike Zimmer. I have a ton of respect for him. And the way they look at times is just so out of sorts. Like I don't know, none of them are on the same page. It just looks weird. It looks bad.
Well, let's talk about the Texans then, who are at 20. They've had to face, if you listen to the people that are talking about the Steelers being top of the class of the AFC, they've had to face the Chiefs, the Ravens, and the Steelers their first 3 games. They're 0-3, obviously. That is a tough task to come out of the gates with while you're still trying to figure out your team. And just like last year, the Texans towards the end got hot. So maybe they make a big jump towards the middle or the end of the year. But that's a team that looks like they've lost their way. But is that because they've played incredible competition here to start the entire season?
Yeah, we don't know. That's what makes it so intriguing. I think we don't really know what any team is. I mean, we kind of know who the Chiefs are. We know how the Packers are playing, and the top 5 or so, we kind of know who they are. But everyone else, you don't really know. Like you don't know how good you always go into the. I always love when they release the schedule and people rank who has the toughest schedules, and they do all that. Like, oh, people will ask me through the years, man. Even when I was on the team, have you? When you look at the schedule, man, you guys have the 4th hardest schedule in the league. Is that a tough thing to overcome? And I'm like, I have no clue what that means. I've never thought about how our schedule is. I know our division, who we play, and who do we play this year? Oh, the AFC West. Okay, then we'll go play them. Like, you don't sit there and worry about your opponents.
By the way, weakest schedule compared to what? Last year's team? Because this team is very different than last year's team. That happens everywhere. That's why what the Chiefs were able to do, keeping everybody around, is so damn impressive, because the parity of the NFL is a real thing. We were 2-14, then we made a run and went into the playoffs the next year with Andrew Luck. You never know who's going to get hot, or the big important thing, especially this year, who's going to stay healthy. Who's going to be able to stay healthy? That is the ultimate X factor there. Let's go to Hassan in Toronto.
Hey, Pat, how are you?
I'm great. Hassan, right, is the name?
Yes.
Okay. Assassin is what we
call
come
on.
Assassin.
Mid is doing the best he can. I appreciate his efforts.
Okay, Hassan, I just want to let you know that was recall from talking to you, like a month ago, that it was not Assassin, which, by the way, very...
No.
Yeah, Hassan.
Yeah, we went a couple of times, and it's okay. Mid is doing a great job.
Well, I mean, I'll be the judge of that. Hassan, I appreciate you calling back in. Great to hear from you. What do you want to talk about, brother?
Hey, Pat, just to keep it short, first of all, congratulations to you and the boys on the success in your personal and professional lives. More power to you.
Oh, thank you. We appreciate that, Hassan. It's because of people like you, Hassan, that this is all possible. So we thank you, man.
Thank you, Hassan.
Hey, we're all doing our part. My question to you and AJ is, how do great players on shitty teams keep themselves motivated? Case in point, Julio Jones.
Great question. If you're on a team that stinks and you're really good, how do you stay motivated? That's
AJ Green.
AJ Green. Also, people could point to potential Odell Beckham last year on a team that was running 4th and 18 draws. How does a superstar player stay motivated and focused? And Julio Jones is a guy that's kind of been wrapped up down there in Atlanta. They were in the Super Bowl not too long ago. Obviously, we don't have to talk about what happened there, but Julio Jones is regarded by everybody as like that knows this is the best receiver in the league or whatever. And he's kind of never on television, doesn't get talked about much. It's an interesting thing, AJ.
Yeah, the Falcons have been good enough during his time to where they always kind of had a chance if they put it together. So it's not like he's like a perennial loser, no matter how I guess some people would call the Falcons that since the Super Bowl, since their loss. But like, what about like Joe Thomas is the guy to ask on the Browns, and like you're not going to the playoffs. A guy that's on that's who drafted you, and the culture is losing, and you do whatever you can. Everyone's fighting. You're getting new head coaches every 2 years, but we really realize, hey, we got issues all over the place.
I'm so impressed by the Joe Burrow thing or the Joe Thomas thing, because I was on a losing team in the NFL 1 year. We were 2-14. It was miserable. Walking into work was miserable. Everybody thought they were going to get fired, including like the chefs, the athletic trainers, the equipment managers. Every coach thought they were going to get fired. Every player thought they were going to get cut. There was only a couple players that were like, oh, we're safe or whatever. It was a miserable existence. If that was your entire career and you had to do hand-to-hand combat every single time, the amount of mental toughness that would take is something that I do not have. If I was Joe Thomas, I would not have been able to handle sucking for that long when I'm doing my job to the highest, at the highest level, maybe of all time. That'd be very difficult. So I have a lot of respect for Joe Thomas to be able to do that, because losing is the most miserable thing in the NFL. Winning cures all, they say. And losing does the complete opposite. It exposes every piece of misery in your entire building.
Yeah, it's the drive into the facility on Monday morning when you just got beat pretty bad. It's just terrible. It's an awful, awful feeling.
It's probably a pride thing, right? Like you don't want to look terrible as well. Like, yeah, your team, but like you, I don't know.
Paycheck.
I guess at some point you have to frame in your mind, and I would have this conversation with young gunners that were on our team, or young special teamers that were like rookies or whatever. Whenever we were down and the team was starting to check out or whatever, I would go talk to the young guys hey, it doesn't matter how bad everybody else is sucking right now. We still got to do our job. So I would assume that is kind of how it goes. That is how you have to frame in your mind. I don't care what everybody else is doing. I'm going to do my thing. But for a decade plus of that'd be a bit exhausting, I think, mentally. It'd be like, all right, how long do I have to say that everything's going to be okay? And it's just not. How long do I have to do my job? He blocked for, I think, 20 quarterbacks or something.
Something like that.
Well, at some point, don't you think, after how many years is it appropriate to ask somehow to the front office, don't make a spectacle of it, be like, hey, man, can you guys trade me? Can we do something? Can I go to a winner somehow? Would a guy, it's crazy that Joe didn't ever do that, I feel like.
It would be very, there was a rumor that he was getting traded at one point, and he was coming to the Colts, if I do recall, because it was when Andrew Luck was in the middle of getting killed. But Costanzo, we actually had a good left tackle at that point in Costanzo. And I think Costanzo had to answer the questions on if they were trading Joe. There was a rumor that Joe Thomas was going to be traded, and it crept into our locker room somehow. And I think the media found out. And I don't know if Costanzo was exactly thrilled about it, because Costanzo has been a staple of the Colts offensive line or whatever, but that was back whenever Andrew Luck was getting killed, so everybody just assumed that if Joe Thomas is on the board, the team that has a quarterback that's always getting killed is probably going to be a part of the entire thing.
Need him.
Let's go to the phone here.
I never understood, Pat, when someone got traded from a terrible team to a good team that has a chance to go to the playoffs and make a run. I never understood. Sometimes you'll see players upset that they got traded. I'm like, wait, your team, you guys were 3-10. The team that you got traded to is in first place in their division. What's the problem here? You should be so happy, I feel like.
You don't understand the community they live in, their neighbors they have, the network, the kids' school that they're going to, the loyalty they've shown the team that has stunk for so long. I mean, it's all that stuff.
Calais Campbell.
And I've never been, Calais Campbell thought he was going to be a Jacksonville Jaguar until retirement. He got traded to the Ravens, re-signed, and now he's captain, I think. I mean, I've never been traded, thank God. I almost asked one time but I've never been traded. And just picking up and rooting and moving your team or your family, I think that is more of the entire upset thing, as opposed to like, oh, football is a lot better here because we have a chance to win again.
But even your family, even that family that, yes, it's a big deal to move your family and do all that. It's a much better environment if you're winning at that new team, though.
As we wrap up here, I've seen a lot of tweets about what am I drinking. Everybody thinks I'm housing a beer. This is not a beer. This is called Liquid Death. It's canned water. It's the coldest water you ever put in your entire mouth. So everybody thinks I'm drunk all day because I'm drinking these tall boys. No, this is water. And it's actually the coldest water you've ever had in your entire life. Liquid Death. I don't know if liquid death is the proper way to describe it because this actually gives me life when this cold thing touches my lip.
Liquid life.
So I'm not drunk, by the way. Potentially high, but not drunk. AJ, we got about 50 seconds left until we got to close out the show on Mad Dog Radio. Anything to say or wrap up for the people listening in Sirius?
Oh, Tyron Smith back on the practice field today for the Dallas Cowboys. Missed the last 2 games. They're about to mount their comeback and their big push to get it over the top.
You've been mounting Big Mike and the Cowboys early and hard here, and it has not panned out. So I would take any piece of information you have, if I were you, to make you look on the bright side of the Cowboys. Hopefully they'll be good because they're going to be on national TV probably every single week for the next 15 weeks. Yep. I hope they turn it around. I want Dak Prescott to get paid. Titans Steelers happening on Monday night on CBS. That's awesome. Big game tomorrow night between the Broncos and the Jets. We'll hype that up like you've never heard before tomorrow. Plus amazing guests. Big thanks to Mark Schlereth, Shefty, Matt Hasselbeck, AJ Hawk, and all of you for listening on Sirius XM Mad Dog Sports Radio. This has been the Pat McAfee Show. We'll see you mañana. Yeah. Hey. For the YouTube folks, AJ.
Yeah.
I want to let you know, your skin just glows, dude.
Why?
I don't know what you do. You must moisturize or exfoliate.
I'm sweaty. I get sweaty up here.
Watching cops back there?
I let off the show in a deep sweat, by the way. I was sweating.
The studios, you keep that studio like 56 degrees.
Yeah, me and Letterman like it cold, you know what I mean? We like it cold in here. But I got a full workout in. You know, I had to wake them up a little bit because I have a sleeveless hoodie. We have brand new sleeveless hoodies that have just hit the store that I am promoting.
They're heat.
It's a performance flex, though, AJ. You see?
Oh, yeah.
It's like a.
So would you tell people that are a little bit bigger to order one size larger so it doesn't stick to you?
No, these ones are true to size, and the inside is actually soft. I don't know if we can. You're not gonna be able to.
It's not. I take your word for it, bud.
Hairy stomach here, by the way.
That's because you're a man.
You're a fucking man. That's why.
You're a man. You're 30.
Dale Doback.
I shaved my arms and my legs for the wrestling thing. You know. Yeah. My lady has never been so pissed off at me. She was so mad that I shaved my legs and arms. I used to shave my legs in high school, college. Then I kind of got lazy and stopped doing it. It makes them look a lot better. But my lady hates it. She's a big let's not. Okay, you don't need smoother legs than me. Okay, at this time.
She likes you being the big, burly, gritty Pittsburgh guy you are.
Rust Belt guy.
Rust Belt.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Little Rust Belt kind of guy. But I'll tell you what, when I shave my legs, I will put them up against damn near anybody's leg. I will. Let's go to Spencer in Indiana. What's going on, Spencer?
Yo, what up?
What up, dude?
From Chesterton, just want to clear my name a little bit. You had a guy named Michael Franzese from the Mob on.
Yeah, he was great.
I don't know if you remember that, but I am not his Chesterton affiliate. He did, shout us out, thank you, but I am not the affiliate, so I'm not with the Mob. But my question for you is, NFL teams, Patriots specifically, Browns, they let, big old Belichick walk out with a 12-foot or a 12-inch foot-long, talk about how great it is, right? Smile on that. Take the house in Cleveland, but my question for you is, if you were to join a team, how do they feel about the off-the-field stuff? Like, would you be able to continue the show and everything you're doing off the field?
Great question, Spencer. I don't know how we got there. It was a great question. A lot of people coming after you a little bit for the Franzese call out because I think you'd want to be associated with that guy, not associated with that guy. Michael Franzese was the Young Dawn, I think. I forget. I don't know. He was a mob boss over there for one of the families. He was running a gas scam where they were making like $2 million a week for the family. So he made a lot of money. Had his own helicopter. He was flying back and forth for his court case. I mean, legend of a man, obviously. He came on the show. Great interview. Good conversation. Spencer somehow was not related to him. Great to know. Okay. Create the notes.
We were wondering
Spencer.
before.
We were wondering that. But for me, doing a show or something like that, it's all about, I would have to go to the right place. And there's a lot of places that would not allow the punter to do a show. I understand that. But once I got in there and I started doing my job well, I think there isn't much you can say, because if I'm doing my job, be who you can afford to be, get the fuck out of here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's true. It'd be tough to do it 12 to 3. Maybe you have to bump it later.
Yeah, 12 to 3 would be very difficult. This is right in the middle of the workday for a lot of people, but I don't think there is any sign that I will ever kick a ball again for money. I'll kick balls in the backyard every once in a while.
Oh, yeah.
I'll do whatever, but I don't think there is ever a situation.
Kickball game, maybe?
And this could, by the way, get clipped right here. Like what I just said, there could get clipped if I get signed somewhere like week 10 or 11, whenever, somebody's going on a run.
Yeah, New England,
and the legs are feeling good.
Yeah. That's fine.
And it's like, all right.
Who cares? What they're going to clip? What are they going to call you a liar? Oh, this guy lied. He said he's not going to come back, and he came back.
Yeah, everybody does that nowadays. Everybody.
Yeah. Congrats. Like people would be like, "Oh, good for him. That's awesome. He's on a team. He's
By the
just
way,
go compete for a Super Bowl."
By the way, I don't all. Well, okay, that is a good for me then, I guess. But every time somebody goes back to like, good for that person coming back, it's like, yeah, but also good for the people that retire and just fucking dominate life after retirement.
Yes, sure.
Hey, good for those people too. Doesn't get talked about a lot. I still got a lot of people that are like, you need to get back into the NFL and start getting those NFL checks. It's like, there's a prosperous world outside of the NFL as well, maybe. Okay. What are you just saying that the only thing I can do is just kick a fucking ball and be stupid for the rest of my life? Is that what you're saying? You think I just waddle out there? Is that what you think?
That's what they think. Yeah. I
Is
don't
that what
think
you
that,
think?
but that's what people think.
Oh, you're saying people are saying that?
People are saying.
In your house?
No, about professional athletes. And you know what? It's not all that. It's not that far off.
Yeah, for some guys. For some guys. Kobe had a great interview. I think it was with Rich Eisen, where he was asked. Rich Eisen asked him if he'd ever go back or something like that, because he looked like he was in good shape. And I think Rich Eisen was just like saying it in a joking fashion. And then Kobe said, well, if I go back, then that's me basically agreeing to people that say that I can't do anything other than play basketball for a living. And I don't want to set that standard or something like that. And when he said it, I was like, Kobe. Not that you and I have any of the same mentality, but that is exactly what I think whenever everybody's like, oh, you got to go back, you got to go back. It's like, well, I'd like to be able to prove whether or not I can do something else for a living as well if I wanted to. But I liked hearing Kobe say it. I was like, well, Kobe said it. It made some.
I mean, I wouldn't take it that way, though. Like if Kobe would have come back or you came back, I wouldn't say, oh, well, he went out and tried and he failed. He's just a miserable turd human that can't live without his sport. He had to go back. He'd be like, no, he wasn't done playing. If you still had that fire to play, he just wanted to play, and someone gave him an opportunity.
So, I bought a Bentley after I did a stand-up comedy tour, just because I wanted to prove to me that there was money to be made out of the field, that I could buy hilarious things, okay? Don't question how I operate. I mean, it's just how I operate.
But you could have just, opened up the app with your bank and said, oh, there's that money.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, that's probably the right move, especially now that we're looking about it, that this thing has just become driveway decoration for the last 3 years.
You still have it.
Still have it, yeah. Never wanted to sell it because I didn't want people to think I was selling my car because I went broke. That's how.
Stop worrying about what other people think of your money situation.
No, I just want motherfuckers to know, like, hey, like I'm not selling it. Like we're not. This is not an everything must go because I'm struggling. But now that everybody knows I just signed a massive deal or whatever, now if I did want to sell it, I'd feel okay selling it. You know what I mean?
How much you want for it?
Well, actually,
are you buying?
That thing may be coming out of the garage.
Turns out, Graham Rahal, the IndyCar driver. Have you ever heard of it? He's from Columbus. Columbus guy.
Rahal, yeah, Columbus here.
So he obviously a lot in Indianapolis because Indy 500 or whatever. Graham Rahal has known that I have that vehicle, and he and I had a conversation the other day. I think we're going to put 600 horsepower in that fucking thing. I think we're going to make that thing like a race car potentially because he wants me to drive it, he said. He's like, hey, you have a very nice car that you were just choosing not to drive or whatever. And I told him the driving experience stinks. There's a little bit of a lag when I hit the gas and it doesn't move anything. I got all these other cars that are just like get it and go type things. He's like, well, so Rahal Performance, I believe is what it's called, Rahal Performance. They're putting 600 horsepower in that thing, like currently as we speak. Yes. So I might be driving that very, very soon. It might leave the driveway for the first time in 3 years here.
Yeah, here we go.
In the next couple of weeks or whatever. Yeah. So that's. But I will sell it if you want to pay for it.
No, I don't want to buy it. I would say you might want to throw it out there to Sitton. I know Sitton bought a Porsche. He pulled in the parking lot one day with one of those those little Porsche SUV type things. I mean, they're called an SUV, but they're not big by any means. he put on like, oh, you get sweet Porsche, man. You get a new one. He's like, oh man. He's like, I was at the dealership. I was driving by and I saw it. I just bought it. It's such a stupid mistake. I can't. I'm like, what are you gonna do with it? He's like, oh, Kristen's so mad. He's like, I'm gonna keep it, obviously. But like, that's Sitten's the best. He'd buy. All of a sudden, he's got like 3 4-wheelers in his garage. I'm like, City, your yard's like 0.25 acres. Where do you ride? He's like, yeah, I didn't think about that.
Sitten sounds a lot like me. I got 2 4-wheelers, a dirt bike that I've never started, 3 motorcycles. I got the Shelby GT500 Mustang. It has 630, I think, horsepower, whatever it is. And the first day I got it, I took it into, obviously, the facility. In the parking lot at an NFL facility, you can very easily see, like, okay, who are the young guys? Okay, those guys. And then you can see, like, all right, who are the guys who just have money and have gotten bored, so they're buying cars? So I wanted to park it in that part of the thing. And I walk in, and Robert Mathis looks at me and goes, how many ponies are in that thing? I'm like, 630. He was like, you got the biggest car in the lot. Like, that is not good. He bought a Hellcat the next day, which has like 10 more horsepower or whatever. And it was just like one of my favorite exchanges I've ever had with a human. Was like, well, you can't have the most powerful car in the lot for sure.
Is that a spite buy?
I believe that was a spite buy. I believe that was a spite buy.
Hey, did you ever see those semis when you could buy legit? Like it was an F something. There was a lineman on the Cowboys. I remember I was standing in like the area with your family talking afterwards. I was talking to General Bob because Bobby was on the Cowboys at the time, and one of the linemen came driving by in a full-blown semi. And I was like, that thing is. It was the first time I'd seen it. I was like, that's awesome.
I mean, could you imagine pulling in the facility, 6:30 a.m. Everybody's parking. They're like, okay, one guy's got a Porsche, one guy's got a old school muscle car. Okay, one person, and then he comes in. Park sideways across a couple of the spots there, throw the keys at somebody and walk in. I'd absolutely love that. General Bob Carpenter got no credit for what he did on the front lines last night.
Seriously.
In the middle.
I thought there was a chance Trump would have shouted out General Bob.
I brought back football alongside my generals, Bob Carpenter.
Come on, I wouldn't put it past. Like, it wouldn't be that crazy to think like that Trump would throw that out.
Let's go to Brian in Indianapolis. What's going on, Brian? Brian, I don't know how close you are.
Hey,
Brian, I don't know how close you are to Indianapolis. My name's Pat, by the way. I don't know if you just said hello to yourself there. There is a little bit of a heads up. Somebody murdered somebody south of Indianapolis, hopped in a stolen car, and then parked it right across the street from our office.
Yep.
And then sprinted down the road past us this weekend. And I guess in the middle of this show, 2 detectives have shown up at the office banging on the door. Tim McAfee just greeted them at the front. They're like, we want to know if your camera outside that we have shot potential murder case. So we might be a part of a murder investigation right now.
Yeah.
Don't know what that's all about. Brian, I hope you're not too close to this. It's a wild scene down here in Indianapolis. Homeless people shitting everywhere, murderers sprinting across the street. I mean, it is a wild time to be alive here in Indy. I hope you're okay.
Oh, I am. I'm in my house working from home.
Come on, lock it down in there, bub.
I got a question for you. How does it feel being part of the best draft for punters ever? And do you have a good relationship with Kevin Huber and Thomas Morstead?
Great question. Thomas Morstead went in the 4th round, I believe, to the New Orleans Saints. Kevin Huber, I think, went in the 5th or 6th round. And then I went in the 7th round, pick 222.
Hell yeah.
Also, a couple kickers were drafted in that round, or in that same draft, I do believe. One of them being Bueller out of USC to the Dallas Cowboys, which was where I thought I was going. Kevin Huber, Thomas Morstead, great dudes. Great ball kickers. Kevin Huber was the captain that represented Cincinnati in the overtime coin toss against Philadelphia Eagles. I completely forgot he was still in the NFL, to be honest. And then I saw him. I'm like, look at Huber out there still doing the damn thing. He went to high school at Cincinnati, college in Cincinnati, was drafted to the Cincinnati Bengals. I call him Big Dick Daddy from Cincinnati, Kevin Huber. I don't know what you call him.
Is he still there? Is the caller still on with us?
No, I hung up.
He's gone.
Yeah,
oh, my bad. I didn't know you guys were all in the same draft class.
Yeah. Thomas Morstead.
Yeah. So is Huber, like his last couple of years, Bill Belichick going to bring Huber in?
No, they got a righty now.
Yeah, but don't you think he wants to get back to the lefty?
No, everyone's on the lefty now. You got to go right when everyone's going left.
Yeah, you got to zig when everybody zags. Remember that. That's a big-time gambling tip, too, by the way.
Come on.
Hey, Pat, how tough was it quick? I know we're wrapping up. When Doug Flutie did that drop kick and made an extra point or a field goal, whatever it was?
It's not that hard. I'm actually a very good drop kicker, but the thought of Bill Belichick letting them do it was awesome, right? Because that's something that you practice or maybe you get to do it one time and a coach will never pull a trigger on it just because the percentages, and it makes no sense to do it. Like a snap, hold, and kick is just so much more convenient, such a higher success rate. There isn't a potential catastrophe. Like it's a lot. So getting Bill Belichick to okay that is awesome. And I like that Doug Flutie's athletic enough to do it. There's a lot of guys that are great drop kickers, though, that never got a chance to do it. I assume a lot of people would want to do it, but it just doesn't make any sense. For me, I think my favorite part of that whole story is Adam Vinatieri was either on his way to get 100 points or something happened where he was potentially not going to get to kick the extra point and they were going to go do the drop kick thing. So Vinatieri almost got screwed. I don't know if they waited until Vinny hit like 100 points and then did it, or if Vinatieri got one later that happened to some. But there's some sort of record or some sort of like some sort of something with Adam Vinatieri with that Doug Flutie situation that I remember being pretty hilarious when I heard it, that you would never even think about.
Yeah, he told the story on the show. I think it was an extra point, and then there was like 5 or 6 minutes left or so, and then Vinatieri got the record.
Yeah, 100 points or something like that. Hilarious, because Vinatieri probably did not say anything aloud about how pissed off he was, but he was probably like, okay, are we fucking son of a bitch? This hasn't been done in, 30 years, and we're doing this right now? Cody in Indiana, last call. What's going on, bub?
Sorry, can you hear me?
Yeah, you sound great, actually. What's going on?
All right, awesome. I just wanted to shout out to you. You're my favorite Colt player of all time. And I wanted to shout out Rigoberto Sanchez, my bad, the best punter in the NFL. And I wanted to see how the human tripod's going to react when DeForest Buckner dumps an offensive lineman in his lap.
Oh, Cody, I like everything you just said. I agree with Rigoberto Sanchez, the punter for the Colts. I love the way he punts footballs, but I knew he wasn't going to get a lot of credit the first couple years because of how he punts footballs. And the reason is he does what I did at the end of my career. And what I did at the end of my career, which is whenever I made all the Pro Bowls and all that shit and became the punter of the decade, is I punted to eliminate the returner. So a lot of fair catches, we're pinning people in corners. So instead of Rigoberto Sanchez just lining up and hitting 75-yard punts, which he definitely could at any given time if he wanted to, he's hitting balls to eliminate the returner, help out his coverage team. And it's not like a fun style of punting by any means. It's not like an ooh-ah style punting, but it's an efficient and great for your team, like selfless style of punting. So Rigoberto Sanchez has been doing that at a very, 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 very high level. And I hope he starts getting some credit for that because the guy's unbelievable and I'm very happy he did well. They signed a guy named Jeff Locke, I think his name, the lefty from the Vikings, to replace me. And he got a press conference, which I never got in my life, the first day he got there. And they asked him about me or whatever. And the answer he gave, I did not enjoy. I did not love. So I actually went to a practice and helped out Rigoberto a little bit and gave Rigoberto like a motivational speech, like, hey, beat the fuck out of this guy, please. And he has. And it's not like I gave him a speech or helped him out at all. But Rigoberto, as soon as I saw him kick a ball one time, I was like, this dude is very, very, very good. So I love Rigoberto. Don't like the other guy.
What did the other guy say about you? Or what did he not say about you?
I don't know. It was something like, that gets a tough spot to go into, especially, I was averagely well-liked, sold a lot of jerseys. Obviously, I just retired on Comedy Central at this point. So I think his big thing was like, I'm not trying to fill in Pat's shoes. Like, I'm just trying to do my own thing. Like, because a punter, you just normally just very quiet and just keep it moving. He said something about never watching me punt or something like that, or never seeing me punt, so he doesn't know about that. And it's like, I want you just, maybe you should have.
Leave that out. But if that's true, you can just leave that out of your remarks.
Exactly. And I don't remember how exactly he said it, but something along those lines. And he
Snobby.
He was a lefty.
Press conference is the first question.
That's, by the way, as soon as I saw it, I texted the Colts PR guy, and I'm like, this guy gets a press conference? I don't even think I got a single press conference in mind. Well, it's a new thing we're doing with Ballard, blah, blah, blah.
Oh, is that right?
But anyways, Jeff Locke, probably a really nice guy, but he gave an answer that he didn't even know pissed me off, and it did. It was like, all right, well, fuck that guy. I hope you never get a job again.
And?
I think he's still looking.
I don't know if he had a job again, but he should maybe watch some films. You know what I mean, AJ?
How dare he? How dare he not be well-versed on everything that you did?
Well,
see, that's not what I'm saying.
AJ.
And I knew that's how you were going to take it.
I get it, and it's a natural reaction how you feel about it. I just think enough time has passed where you can let it go now.
I've let it go. I'm past it. Rigoberto beat the hell out of him.
Gotta keep that edge. Stay sharp.
Yeah, I still got that edge. And if I ever saw Jeff Locke, I'd be like, hey, man, love everything you did to the Vikings. Have a good one. I'm a fan of his.
Never seen you punt.
But I did not love I have seen him punt, though. That's the thing, though. And that's, like, I don't know. Maybe he just doesn't respect the craft as much as I did.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Especially if somebody's way better than you. Probably want to watch them and see what they do to maybe get better.
Don't see him defending the punter shield.
But he's also a lefty, so maybe. But I don't care. I watch lefties out there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
See how it goes.
I don't know if I did. I didn't watch any film on him either. How about that? So maybe I am wrong for being mad at Jeff Locke. But I do remember being upset at Jeff Locke. And when I was asked to potentially come talk to Rigoberto, I was like, yes, I would love to come talk to Rigoberto Sanchez. So maybe it was just I was in a bad mood. I apologize for Jeff Locke for doing that, actually, and having that take on him. Because I never saw any film on him either.
Well, somehow somebody's going to dig up that press conference and we're going to see exactly what this guy said about you.
I forget what he said. It was just, I don't know.
Condescending.
I don't even know if he meant to be, though. Like, I think he was trying to distance himself from trying to be another me. You know what I mean?
He's probably trying to say, like, hey, I understand. Like, in his brain, he's probably like, Pat was an amazing punter. He's done great things here. I am not Pat. I'm not going to bring that same energy. I'm not going to bring that same fun, that fake enthusiasm. So I need to, like, let people know. Like, there's not going to be that guy's not here anymore. It's just boring old me, probably.
Yeah. It didn't feel like that at all. But maybe I misread the whole situation.
Check the tape. We'll check it.
Maybe I was just a little sensitive, too. Maybe I was just being a sensitive
That's all right.
little
You're
baby.
allowed to be.
Jeff Locke didn't deserve that, maybe.
No, I hate him, but
Rigoberto Sanchez, though, very talented. I'm a big fan of his. And Nick Foles with DeForest Buckner. I hope they get pressure. I'm going to have to. Yeah. That defense has been playing very well. Pick six, 2 of them this past weekend on Sam Darnold. But it's Sam Darnold. Will you be able to do it to Nick Foles? We got a guy who knows everything about Nick Foles inside and out. We shall see. AJ, anything final to say here to the 15,690 people that are watching on YouTube?
Shut up.
I don't think so, man. I think I'm good. I'm absolutely jacked for the Thursday night game tomorrow night. I'll probably have a hard time sleeping tonight. And tomorrow's show will be it'll be fun. We'll get to talk about that one and really dive in and dissect it.
All right. I agree. I'm going to figure out how to hype up that game tomorrow.
Oh, yeah.
But just know that the fake energy that you call it, is coming in abundance tomorrow for Broncos Jets. I want to let that be known. It is coming in abundance. We'll talk to Darius Butler tomorrow. He'll give us the over-under for passing yards on who we should bet for. Tomorrow, he's 2-0 right now. He was not right on who was going to win the game, but he is 2-0 on those bets, so I'll gladly take cash from Darius Butler's brain from me watching so much film. Also, we have a couple other guests. Don't know who they are, but I'm sure they'll be okay. From all of us to all of you, we can't thank you enough. Remember, be a friend, tell a friend, subscribe. We are close to 1 million subscribers. Close to 1 million subscribers. When we get to 1 million, we're going to give away $100,000 in cash.
What?
And some other things, I do believe. So we appreciate the hell out of all of you. We don't have a clue why you watch and continue to follow along, but I want to let you know we appreciate the hell out of it.
Hell yeah.
From all of us to all of you, have the greatest one. Save your life. Cheers.